A blinding light burst forth, pulling Bei Ming into the depths, cold and relentless. Crashing into the water, his body sank, heavy with the weight of regret and pain. Thoughts spiraled, is this the end? A hollow acceptance filled the emptiness within him. Memories of a loved one surfaced, her smile the last warmth before the abyss closed in. Her image shimmered beneath the water, fragile yet vivid, anchoring his fading consciousness with longing. The vision shifted, revealing the accident-twisted metal, the crash that stole her away forever. Her face remained calm, peaceful, contrasting the chaos that had torn their lives apart. Darkness tugged at him, but anger flared. He couldn't follow her. Not like this. Strong hands plunged in, breaking the surface, yanking him back from the brink of death. Coughing, drenched, he gasped for air, realizing he wasn't alone. Someone had pulled him to safety. Gasping, Bei Ming sat up, water streaming, the crowd's whispers cutting deeper than the fall. A figure loomed, her strength undeniable, though her teasing masked genuine concern and sharp instincts. Struggling upright, he dismissed help, his pride bruised more than his fragile, battered body. Passing students stared, murmuring judgments. His limp, his past, they weighed heavier than his soaked clothes. With each hobbling step, he steeled himself. Pity wasn't what he needed. Resilience would define him. Suyur confronted the crowd, her glare cutting through lies and fake innocence like steel. Whispers spread fast. Her fierce loyalty to Bei Ming was known, making her an unstoppable force. Bei Ming stood tall, ignoring fake concerns, though their masked pity gnawed at his pride. Their mocking whispers echoed louder than their fake kindness. But he kept walking, head unbowed. Laughter chased him cripple, freaked their cruel words heavy, but his determination kept his steps steady. He gritted his teeth, frustration boiling within. He'd endured worse, their words couldn't break him. Memories of training surfaced, each fall, each wound, a reminder of how far he'd come. A call interrupted his thoughts, more responsibilities, more burdens, but he swallowed it down and moved on. Eyes sharp, he faced the world's cruelty head-on, refusing to crumble beneath its harsh weight. Alone again, Bei Ming pushed forward, hobbling past sneers and whispers, strength hidden in his resolve. A basketball rolled to his feet, breaking the stillness. Instinctively, he stepped forward to help. Pausing, he stared at the ball, its simplicity a strange contrast to his heavy thoughts. Bending awkwardly, his balance faltered, yet he reached down, determination stronger than the tremor within. Lifting it, he hesitated. Was this another test, or just a fleeting, normal moment? His grip slipped, the ball thudding against him, but he straightened, ready to keep going. The ball rolled away, mocking Bei Ming's effort, his frustration boiling beneath a calm surface. Gritting his teeth, he swallowed his anger, though each failure chipped at his pride. Lin Qi appeared, his smug grin cutting deeper than insults, reigniting old rivalries and wounds. Bei Ming's patience cracked. Lin Qi's taunts clawed at the memories of who he once was. Standing tall, Bei Ming locked eyes with Lin Qi, refusing to let his pride shatter. Lin Qi's words dug deep, mocking Bei Ming's stubbornness, each insult like salt on wounds. But Bei Ming clenched the ball, fire in his eyes. He wouldn't break under this pressure. Lin Qi lunged, tension thick between them, but Bei Ming's resolve only hardened. Lin Qi's final insult echoed cruel, sharp, but Bei Ming stood unmoved, pride anchoring him. Deep down, he vowed no matter the mockery, his spirit wouldn't crumble, not now. Alone again, Bei Ming let the weight of Lin Qi's words settle, cold and heavy. Hypocrisy surrounded him. Fake kindness was worse than cruelty, each fake smile like a dagger. Yet, his scars weren't weakness. They were reminders of battles survived, of strength gained through pain. Storm clouds gathered as school ended, mirroring the turmoil swirling within his chest. A strange figure awaited, breaking the silence. Something in the air hinted at change. Suyur stood in the rain, her umbrella shielding them both from the downpour. The city blurred under heavy rain, the streets empty, leaving only their footsteps echoing faintly. Bei Ming hesitated, warning her his isolation was for protection, but she refused to step back. She smiled softly, stubborn as ever, refusing to let him bear the weight alone. A sudden bang interrupted their moment, danger cutting through the storm's quiet rhythm. Bei Ming flinched, pain shooting through him. But Suyur stood firm, defiant in chaos. Memories flooded back, strength always masked behind gentle words, yet she shielded him countless times. Together, they faced the thugs, Bei Ming stepping forward despite his battered, worn body. Lightning split the sky as his determination burned brighter, ready to defend the one constant. He grabbed umbrella, shielding her as the storm intensified, his strength rising against the odds. The streets emptied, but trouble still lingered. Dark figures loomed, their intentions far from innocent. Arm in arm, they shared the umbrella, an unspoken bond solidified through countless trials. A thug lunged, but Bei Ming reacted fast, his strike breaking the attacker's arm effortlessly. Panic spread among the group, the leader's cries cutting through the heavy rain-soaked air. Yet Bei Ming stayed calm, grabbing another by the collar, his resolve unshaken by threats. The thug pressed the blade against Suyur, her breath shallow, tension crackling in the rain. Bei Ming stepped forward, calm but fierce, the knife at his chest failing to break his resolve. Thunder rumbled overhead as danger loomed closer, the dark alley hiding cruel intentions within shadows. Bei Ming's heart raced as the thugs cornered them, their threats echoing in the rain. One thug sneered, pressing the blade closer to Su Yuer, taunting Bei Ming's helplessness. With forced calm, Bei Ming offered everything he had, hoping to end it peacefully. But the thug wasn't satisfied. Mockery deepened, pushing Bei Ming toward a breaking point. Su Yuer's eyes burned with fury, refusing to back down despite the looming danger. Bei Ming hesitated, realizing her bravery couldn't outmatch the blade. He needed another plan. Swallowing pride, he agreed to their demand, removing his clothes to buy them safety. His mechanical limbs gleamed under the moonlight, drawing cruel laughter from the gang. Even stripped down, Bei Ming stood tall, masking humiliation with quiet, stubborn strength. The gang eyed his prosthetics greedily, mistaking his vulnerability for weakness they could exploit. Bei Ming's calm expression only deepened their taunts, underestimating the storm brewing inside him. One lunged forward, yanking at his arm, intent on tearing away his last defense. But Bei Ming's grip held firm. He wasn't done yet. Their mockery only fueled him. Suddenly, movement flashed behind them. Su Yuer retaliated, her umbrella striking with surprising force. Su Yuer struck hard, the thug collapsing instantly, her strength shocking even Bei Ming. The attacker crashed into the wall, unconscious. As Su Yuer stood tall, fists clenched, she demanded their stolen belongings, her unwavering determination shining through the chaos. Another thug lashed out, landing a brutal hit on Bei Ming, mocking his helplessness. Bei Ming clenched his fist, blood dripping, but the insult cut deeper than any wound. Blood streamed down Bei Ming's face, but his spirit remained unbroken despite the pain. Su Yuer's heart raced, seeing him bloodied only fueled her determination to protect him. The thugs tightened their grip, using Bei Ming as leverage against her bravery. Despite the danger, she refused to abandon him, her loyalty stronger than fear. Cornered, she lowered her guard, prioritizing Bei Ming's safety over her own freedom. Bei Ming's mechanical arms sparked, the pressure causing excruciating pain, yet he refused to yield. Su Yuer fought back, breaking free, her strength momentarily tipping the odds in their favor. A thug retaliated, grabbing her forcefully, his grip rough. As danger escalated further, Bei Ming roared, forcing himself up, desperation driving his battered body to act. His head slammed into the ground, but his resolve hardened, refusing to be dismissed again. Bei Ming, bloodied but fierce, admitted his weakness but refused to let Su Yuer suffer. Rage burned within him, pushing past pain as he forced himself to stand and fight. With a roar, he struck the thug, determination eclipsing fear despite his battered state. He charged again, unwilling to let the thugs touch Su Yuer ever again. Another brutal hit landed, but Bei Ming kept going, protecting her above all else. His vision blurred, blood dripping, but Bei Ming's heart refused to give up hope. Pain surged through him, his body collapsing under the strain, gasping for strength. Memory surfaced, his promise to protect her echoed, guilt gnawing at his failing resolve. Even as darkness crept in, his mind clung to her voice, urging him on. Su Yuer's desperate cry reached him, breaking through the haze of pain and despair. Su Yuer's tears streamed as she called out, refusing to lose Bei Ming now. He drifted deeper into unconsciousness, guilt consuming him, feeling unworthy of her kindness. In the void, a familiar voice pulled him back, someone he lost, now guiding him. Reaching out in the darkness, Bei Ming grabbed the outstretched hand, fighting against the pull. His heart ached with regret, but he grasped the lifeline, desperate for redemption and strength. Bei Ming clung to fading memories, his mother's sacrifice igniting a fragile will to survive. Her final expression lingered deeply, a silent promise that bound him to keep living on. Chaos erupted around him, but the burning need to survive eclipsed pain and overwhelming destruction. Medical urgency surrounded Bei Ming, doctors racing to save a life barely clinging to existence. Awaking to Su Yuer's smile, warmth filled him, a gentle reminder he wasn't alone. Weighed by loss and pain, Bei Ming questioned his strength, his will cracking under pressure. Anguish erupted, emotions spiraling as pain pushed him closer to the edge of breaking. His heart ached with powerlessness, the burden of survival suffocating his fragile, battered spirit. Suddenly, the sky tore apart, raw energy surged, awakening something ancient deep within the storm. The world trembled as the heavens unleashed a force, reshaping reality with devastating brilliance. Lightning tore through sky, crackling as Bei Ming struggled beneath blinding energy, feeling unbearable pain. Bound by dark claws, Ming's scream echoed, strength faltering against monstrous force pinning him down. Beast's gaping jaws widened, its roar merging with thunder, as Ming desperately tried to break free. Shouts surrounded chaos, but Ming's mind raced, confused by the sudden storm's ferocity and intent. Bolts surged deeper, burning through Beast as Ming's battered form sparked with unexpected energy within. A violent flash exploded outward, tearing through shadows as the lightning scorched everything in its path. Ming's form crackled with light, his aura shifting violently as he resisted the storm's relentless pull. Energy spiraled around him, limbs shaking, as surrounding darkness twisted into jagged claws and smoke. From Storm's core, a monstrous wolf emerged, towering over Ming, its crimson eyes glowing fiercely. The wolf's snarl filled the air, its sharp teeth bared as it demanded Ming's identity and strength. A cold voice pierced the chaos, dismissing Ming's defiance as childish bravado against overwhelming odds. Power erupted around Ming, dark tendrils intertwining with lightning as he leaped forward with fierce determination. The spectral wolf roared, its massive form lunging ahead, aiming directly at the heart of danger. Shock filled enemy's face, the sudden assault unraveling composure as the wolf neared with force. His screams echoed as strength drained, powerless against the raging storm Ming had unwillingly unleashed. Ming's body surged with demonic energy, his mind clouded by an uncontrollable, burning rage. A flash of light tore through the chaos as someone desperately tried to escape the storm. The stranger flinched, raising trembling hands, hoping to avoid Ming's fury and violent wrath. Ming's aura crackled violently, his dark powers intensifying as his control began slipping once more. Red lightning danced around Ming's body as questions about his newfound strength filled the enemy's mind. Another demon cautiously approached Ming, fear flickering in his eyes as he sensed overwhelming danger. Desperate to survive, he revealed his identity, hoping Ming would recognize him as an ally. Realizing the girl wasn't his, the demon begged for mercy, his voice cracking with fear. The demon's thoughts spiraled, recognizing Ming's power was too immense to confront head-on. Ming, unbothered, crushed the demon's strength, leaving him powerless before the storm of energy. The demon hesitated, thinking Ming might spare him, but uncertainty twisted in his gut. In an instant, Ming summoned a monstrous maw, its fangs wide, ready to consume. As chaos swirled, Ming's eyes glowed red, his power reaching terrifying new heights. Amidst the destruction, a familiar figure emerged, her eyes wide with shock and recognition. Ming stood silently as she called his name, unsure of his path forward. Flames danced wildly as Ming's demonic aura swirled, drawing closer to the girl's trembling form. Her eyes widened, fear and confusion blending as she questioned Ming's terrifying transformation. Ming remained silent, red eyes glowing intensely, his mind teetering between rage and recognition. A twisted grin spread across Ming's face as his corrupted instincts surged forward. She called out, her voice trembling, hoping Ming's true self still lingered beneath the darkness. Ming's demonic form erupted with energy, his control slipping as raw power spiraled uncontrollably. Echoing screams filled the dark city as chaos spread, leaving destruction in Ming's unstable wake. A memory surfaced Ming's mother, gentle and calm, preparing him for an important, unknown journey. They arrived at a temple, its ancient walls holding secrets beyond Ming's simple understanding. The scene shifted, young Ming marveled at the shrine, unaware of his future's tragic path. Ming knelt before the shrine, offering respect, silently wishing for strength and safety in life. Thoughts of his mother's sacrifices weighed heavily, her struggles shaping his path and resilience. With a humble heart, Ming thanked the shrine, longing for peace amidst his chaotic fate. But peace shattered, an explosion rocked the air as a vehicle spiraled uncontrollably into flames. The earth trembled beneath the impact, debris scattering as Ming's destiny twisted in an instant. Ming jolted awake, heart racing, as fragments of his nightmare clung desperately to his mind. He thrashed wildly, fear gripping him, as echoes of monstrous jaws snapped in his memory. Gasping for air, Ming realized the sterile scent bright lights above revealed he was in a hospital. Sitting up slowly, he traced the IV line, memories of the battle rushing back sharply. Sweat dripped down his face as thoughts of the creature's power sent shivers through him again. Ming sat motionless, convinced it was a dream, as the fiery wolf silently hovered behind him. A colossal white wolf emerged, its fiery aura swirling, as Bei Ming sat frozen shock. The wolf's eyes burned with rage, demanding answers, its sharp teeth glinting under crimson flames. Ming's heart pounded as he struggled for words, trapped in fear beneath the wolf's gaze. The wolf's claws tore through the air, flinging a metal bed across the hospital room. Ming barely dodged the impact, confusion flooding him as he swore he did nothing wrong. The wolf's snarl deepened, refusing to believe Ming's innocence, its body crackling with dark energy. Ming tried to explain, but the wolf lunged, its massive form pressing him into submission. The wolf revealed its spirit was bound to Ming's body, trapped in a mortal shell. Ming, still clueless, begged for understanding, but the wolf's patience snapped, ready to end him. Desperation flooded Ming's eyes as he shouted, truly unaware of the power now inside him. The wolf hesitated, its fury cooling slightly, but its hunger for vengeance still raged within. Towering above Ming, the wolf vowed revenge, its crimson eyes locked on the mortal world. The wolf pondered its lost mission, fragments of forgotten orders drifting through its scattered thoughts. It promised to consume every mortal, its body radiating chaos, before returning to the void. Ming's eyes widened in horror as the wolf declared him its final prey before vanishing. The wolf soared through the city, mocking Ming, unaware of the trap awaiting its escape. Suddenly, chains crackled with lightning, spiraling upward and snapping around the wolf's colossal form mid-flight. Its eyes widened in shock as the chain's energy coiled tightly, forcing it downward. The wolf twisted, muscles straining, but the chains constricted, yanking it towards the ground. Growling fiercely, it questioned the binding force, its pride wounded by this unexpected restraint. The wolf hovered, its body bound mid-air, as the chains dragged it back mercilessly. Confusion swirled in its mind. This wasn't the power of a normal mortal's magic. With a violent jolt, the wolf howled, feeling the pull of an ancient energy. It skidded across the city rooftop, clawing desperately against the force dragging it back. The realization struck the energy wasn't human. It was something far older and stronger. Back in the hospital, the chains anchored firmly, pulsing as they trapped the wolf. The wolf snarled, questioning how a simple human could wield the ancient spirit lock. Ming clutched the glowing chain, just as confused by its power as the beast. The wolf's fury burned, demanding answers. How could someone so weak control this ancient force? The chain flared again, Ming gasping as he felt its energy surge violently through him. Ming clutched his chest as energy surged violently, his body trembling under the unbearable pressure. Her eyes widened in shock, seeing Ming overwhelmed, the fiery aura radiating from his body. Confusion clouded her mind as hunger gnawed at her, instincts taking control of her actions. The burning light intensified, her voice breaking through the chaos, desperately calling out to Ming. Her memory snapped into place, the truth resurfacing as her heart raced with determination. Ming's heart sank, realization crashing in. Had he truly devoured Yuer, lost to his instincts? Bei Ming's heart raced as the overwhelming pain surged through his body, leaving him breathless. Before him stood the monstrous wolf, its burning eyes locked onto Bei Ming's trembling form. The wolf's fangs gleamed as it hinted at something terrifying, its hunger clear and merciless. Bei Ming stood frozen, trying to suppress the fear clawing its way through his battered mind. Chained Beast boasted of its strength, its crimson aura radiating menace, hunger, and raw power. In the sterile hospital room, Bei Ming sat silently, the heavy chain clinking with every breath. He hesitated, emotions swirling: anger, sorrow, helplessness, all breaking through his fragile mental defenses. A bitter laugh erupted as reality hit harder than any wound he'd ever endured before. The wolf sneered, sensing Bei Ming's crumbling sanity, reveling in the human's breaking point. Bei Ming collapsed to his knees, shouting at the heavens, questioning the cruel fate he faced. Tears threatened, but Bei Ming held them back, the weight of loss anchored deep within him. The wolf tilted its head, puzzled by Bei Ming's sudden shift from despair to curiosity. Standing tall, Bei Ming faced the beast. Determination flaring, he demanded to know its identity. The wolf's fiery aura grew, declaring its power forged through countless battles across time. Bei Ming's eyes narrowed, realizing the truth: he was chained to a force older than evil. The beast revealed its malevolence, its dark aura intensifying. As Bei Ming readied himself, Bei Ming stepped back, the wolf's sinister grin widening, its chain glinting ominously in the dim light. Determination burned in Bei Ming's eyes as he stood tall, clutching the heavy chain tightly. With a fearless glare, Bei Ming challenged the towering beast, courage overpowering the growing dread. Gripping the chain, Bei Ming realized this binding force could either free him or destroy them both. The wolf roared in fury, but Bei Ming's mind raced, piecing together its deepest weakness. A mocking smile spread across Bei Ming's face, knowing the wolf's threats hid its desperation. The beast's confidence faltered as it sensed Bei Ming's sharp insight, its survival now uncertain. Anger flared within the chained monster, but Bei Ming stood unfazed, pushing the tension higher. In defiance, Bei Ming threw the truth at the beast: its power meant nothing against fate. Bei Ming lunged out the window, the cold wind rushing past, the chain still in hand. He accepted his fate, embracing the fall, aiming to end the threat with his life. As gravity pulled him down, Bei Ming's resolve solidified. This was his ultimate selfless act. The wolf, startled, called out, revealing a truth that shattered everything Bei Ming believed. Realization hit hard: this wasn't the end, but the start of something much greater. The wolf's eye widened in shock as it realized Bei Ming's reckless move was serious. In panic, the beast roared, demanding Bei Ming to stop, its voice echoing through the sky. The chain tightened midair as the wolf lunged, desperately trying to reach Bei Ming's falling form. Bei Ming faced the sunlight, feeling its warmth, embracing the fall as a final escape. The wolf's panic grew deeper as it realized it was being dragged down with him. Falling through the air, Bei Ming held the chain tight, knowing this was his last stand. The air thickened with tension, but unexpected force caught Bei Ming mid-fall, breaking his descent. He twisted in midair, seeing threads wrapped around him, suspending him above certain death. Red threads glistened in the sunlight, pulling him back, as the wolf's eyes gleamed with confusion. Bei Ming's heart raced as he realized something else intervened, thread saving him from death. The red silk tightened, spinning around him, revealing it wasn't random but precise and controlled. Confused, Bei Ming struggled against the threads, feeling an unknown power guiding their every movement. The spider silk glowed faintly, anchoring him to the building, preventing the fall he intended. Suspended between life and death, Bei Ming's mind raced, questioning the new force's intentions. With a deep breath, Bei Ming realized survival wasn't random. Someone or something wanted him alive. Heels clicked sharply on floor, a presence approaching. Bei Ming tensed, sensing something unusual nearby. Bei Ming stumbled backward, his heart racing as curtains parted, revealing unexpected and unsettling figure. The mysterious nurse stood confidently, playful aura hiding danger. Crimson threads coiled, waiting for action. Bei Ming glanced at the wolf, who seemed oddly smitten, its eyes filled with hearts. Turning back, Bei Ming locked eyes with the nurse, her intentions becoming clearer and unsettling. Her twisted charm intensified as she leaned closer, the air thick with a dangerous tension. Bei Ming felt her grip tighten, her presence overwhelming, as if draining his very strength. Confusion clouded Bei Ming's mind, struggling to understand what dark force was now targeting him. The nurse's expression darkened, her smile twisted as a sinister intent filled the heavy air. The wolf's fur bristled. It recognized the growing threat, sensing an ancient, malevolent aura awaken. With horrifying transformation, the nurse revealed her true monstrous form, sending shivers through Bei Ming. Panic surged as Bei Ming bolted, desperate to escape another deadly encounter in this nightmare. The wolf's voice boomed, urging Bei Ming to act fast, revealing the key to survival. Bei Ming's mind raced, realizing the cryptic clue. The answer lay closer than he thought. He lunged forward, snatching the scissors, his grip tightening as determination surged through his veins. With the monster lunging, Bei Ming fought back, though panic led to an unintended, painful strike. The wolf groaned in frustration, realizing Bei Ming misunderstood, his misstep only worsening the situation. Bei Ming gasped, scrambling toward the fallen scissors, determined to correct his reckless mistake fast. Bei Ming grabbed the scissors, lunging forward, determined to end the twisted nurse's monstrous threat. The nurse's clawed hand caught his wrist mid-strike, stopping his desperate attack just in time. Bei Ming struggled against her iron grip as she taunted him with unsettling words. The nurse's form twisted grotesquely, revealing her full monstrous nature, eyes glowing with predatory hunger. With a final push, Bei Ming managed to kick her away, creating a fleeting escape. She lunged again, but Bei Ming rolled aside, snatching the scissors before she could react. The wolf's voice echoed in his mind, mocking Bei Ming's chaotic plan and reckless moves. Bei Ming scrambled to keep control, barely avoiding another strike, his mind racing for solutions. Though pinned beneath her, he refused to surrender, pushing against her overwhelming strength desperately. Frustration surged as he realized survival demanded more than brute strength, it needed sharp instincts. Bei Ming's grip tightened on her wrist, using every ounce of strength to resist her. The wolf narrowed its eyes, recognizing Bei Ming's unrelenting willpower and unpredictable, reckless nature. The nurse's smug grin faltered as she sensed Bei Ming wasn't giving in so easily. The wolf roared, its power flaring, demanding the nurse release Bei Ming immediately. Leaping forward, the wolf's aura ignited, determined to reclaim Bei Ming before it was too late. The nurse sneered, taunting the wolf, her words slicing deep into its pride and past. The wolf's crimson eyes glowed brighter, fury rising as it refused to tolerate the mockery. Laughter echoed through the room, the nurse dismissing the wolf's once-feared reputation with cruel ease. Bei Ming remained motionless, absorbing the tension between the two ancient beings locked in rivalry. The wolf growled low, its energy flaring, rage boiling under weight of countless past humiliations. It bared its fangs, determined to reclaim its dignity, no matter the cost or risk. Power surged as the wolf lunged, its claws aimed directly at the nurse, seeking a kill. The nurse's defenses shattered, her confident smirk wiped away as the wolf's attack pierced through. Her body fell limp, crimson energy dispersing as Bei Ming watched, stunned by the sudden shift. The wolf stood frozen, confusion creeping in its overwhelming attack felt strangely incomplete and hollow. Bei Ming lay motionless, the chain heavy on his chest as questions swirled in the silence. Bei Ming stood confidently, her sinister plan unfolding as shadows deepened around the trembling room. With a wicked smile, she revealed the chain's curse, weakening the once mighty spirit wolf's power. The wolf struggled, bound by glowing chains, its size reduced, barely holding on to its fierce pride. Bei Ming's mocking laughter echoed, relishing the upper hand, her cruel intentions now fully exposed. She reflected on her twisted desires, the situation fueling her obsession with dominance and control. Overcome by intense energy, Bei Ming faltered, her strength wavering under the room's unstable forces. Collapsing to her knees, she gasped, the chaotic surge overwhelming even her ironclad willpower. The spirit wolf's anger flared, vowing revenge, though its chains kept its rage barely contained. Bei Ming's mind raced, torn between triumph and panic as strange powers began to twist reality. The energy warped around her, pushing her closer to an uncontrollable breaking point she hadn't foreseen. Bei Ming gasped, feeling the strength slip away, the tables turning in a moment of chaos. Yuer appeared, her calm presence cutting through the tension, halting Bei Ming's reckless spiral downward. Furious, Bei Ming lashed out, her pride wounded, but Yuer's arrival had shifted the battle. Ning's eyes widened in disbelief, seeing Yuer alive despite everything that had happened. Relief washed over him as Yuer stood tall, her unexpected return rewriting the fight's fate. The spirit wolf panted, its deception exposed, while Ning lay unconscious, caught in the chaos. Yuer clenched her fist, furious that she'd been misled while trying to visit Ning at the hospital. Her anger surged as she confronted the situation, the ground shaking beneath her determined steps. Bei Ming, noticing Yuer's presence, decided to make her the next target, her hunger for chaos growing. With a twisted grin, Bei Ming lunged forward, seeing Yuer as the perfect appetizer in this mess. Yuer's instincts kicked in as Bei Ming charged, her energy radiating with a dark, unsettling force. Dodging quickly, Yuer barely avoided Bei Ming's clawed hand, a deadly aura pulsing from her attack. Yuer retaliated with a powerful kick, sending Bei Ming hurtling across the room with immense force. Determined not to back down, Yuer braced herself, knowing this fight was far from over. Bei Ming steadied herself, twisted energy forming around her, preparing for an even darker transformation. Yuer glanced at Ning, frustrated by the chaos, as Bei Ming's mocking laughter filled the room. Bei Ming taunted Yuer's strength but admired her resilience, knowing she underestimated the young fighter. But her patience ended, dark energy spiraled, as Bei Ming revealed her monstrous final form. Shattered floor tiles surrounded Bei Ming, her new form radiating power, tentacles coiling with lethal intent. Yuer's heart raced, but she stood her ground, questioning the monstrous entity Bei Ming had become. Yuer screamed as dark tendrils closed in, her strength wavering under Bei Ming's growing monstrous power. Bei Ming grinned wickedly, mocking Yuer's efforts, her transformation amplifying both strength and malevolence. Ning, now conscious, called out, urging Yuer to escape as Bei Ming's chaos intensified dangerously. A dark vortex spiraled outward, forcing Yuer into the wall, her body cracking it from impact. But Yuer clenched her teeth, refusing defeat, even as Bei Ming's shadows crept closer with intent. Yuer stood her ground, challenging Bei Ming face to face, despite the overwhelming dark energy surrounding them. The tension broke as Bei Ming lashed out, but Yuer countered with a swift, determined strike. Ning, gathering his courage, leaped forward and drove a makeshift weapon toward Bei Ming. His desperate attack caught her off guard, piercing through the dark aura surrounding her monstrous form. But Bei Ming retaliated instantly, launching Ning across the room, her strength still terrifyingly intact. Ning groaned, wounded but conscious, determination flaring in his eyes despite the searing pain inside. Yuer, still trapped, struggled as Bei Ming loomed, her twisted grin spreading at their helplessness. Bei Ming taunted Ning, claiming her victory, but he refused to give her the satisfaction. Memories of failure, pain, and helplessness flooded Ning's mind, but so did his resolve to fight. His emotions, despair, anger, and determination surged together, igniting a spark deep within his battered spirit. The spirit wolf loomed over Ning, its crimson eyes gleaming, sensing his rekindled will to survive. With a deep growl, the wolf offered Ning a chance strength in exchange for a dangerous pact. Bei Ming's eyes opened slowly, darkness fading as an eerie sensation creeps into his mind. A shattered sky crackles above, illuminating a desolate battlefield filled with lifeless skulls and ruins. He stands alone, questioning if this forsaken place is truly the afterlife or something worse. Flames erupt before him, revealing a powerful entity observing him with piercing, unrelenting eyes. Energy surges violently, his body trembling as unknown power forcefully invades every fiber of his being. The towering beast speaks, its deep voice resonating as if challenging Bei Ming's fragile existence. He listens carefully, the words unraveling painful truths about humanity's struggle and cruel fate. The beast explains that true power is necessary to survive in this ruthless, unforgiving world. Bei Ming clenches his fists, acknowledging that his past weakness left him completely defenseless before. He is given a choice: remain powerless forever, or embrace an overwhelming strength beyond humanity. Flames swirl intensely, the wolf's gaze meeting Bei Ming's as determination ignites within his soul. He refuses hesitation, prepared to claim the strength required to carve his own destiny. Their pact is sealed, bound by a connection deeper than mere survival or fleeting ambition. Power erupts from within, his veins surging with an uncontrollable force unlike anything before. A fiery sky splits apart, heralding the rise of someone no longer bound by weakness. Bei Ming feels an immense force pulling him downward, flames and shadows spiraling around him. His enemy watches in disbelief, sensing a surge of demonic energy radiating from Bei Ming's body. Power courses through his veins, his clenched fist tightening as his rage fuels his strength. He steps forward, his fiery aura burning fiercely, refusing to let harm befall those he protects. A sudden explosion shakes the battlefield, his overwhelming power blasting away everything before him. Flames coil around him as he shields Yuer, his body standing firm against impending danger. Bei Ming looks at his hand, realizing the devastating force contained within his growing power. He reassures Yuer, pushing forward despite his injuries, prepared to battle the enemy alone. His determination burns brighter, pain insignificant compared to the duty he bears to protect. The battle ignites again, Bei Ming launching himself forward with relentless resolve and burning energy. Blood drips from his wound, but Bei Ming refuses to back down despite severe pain. Yuer desperately holds him, realizing the gravity of the wound and the danger ahead. Her tears fall, emotions overwhelming her as she grips his torn, bloodied clothes tightly. Bei Ming smirks, his confidence unwavering, despite the chaos surrounding them like a storm. He playfully suggests putting the injury back, knowing Yuer would panic at his words. Bei Ming clutches his wound, feeling the strange energy repairing his body faster than expected. He stares at his chest, amazed by how the injuries vanish without any lingering pain. The wolf beside him smirks, explaining the immense power still locked deep within Bei Ming. Bei Ming realizes this strength comes with a cost obedience to a force beyond human comprehension. He smirks back, refusing to submit completely, sensing the beast's growing frustration in silence. A mysterious crystal radiates energy, pulsating with an unknown force that draws Bei Ming closer. Without warning, a devastating strike knocks him backward, shattering the ground beneath his feet. His enemy grins wickedly, realizing Bei Ming's unique body holds something far more valuable. The crazed opponent lunges forward, desperate to consume his power and ascend beyond human limits. Bei Ming braces himself, dodging swiftly, knowing this battle will determine his fate forever. Bei Ming blocks the monstrous attack, feeling the overwhelming force pushing against his body fiercely. His feet skid back, determination in his eyes as he refuses to falter under pressure. A powerful shockwave erupts, his energy colliding with the enemy's sinister force, shaking the battlefield. The impact sends debris flying, walls cracking under the immense power of their fierce clash. A dark claw emerges from the dust, signaling that the battle is far from over. Bei Ming stares at his transformed arm, realizing the immense strength now coursing through him. Confidence rises within him as he finally feels capable of delivering true retribution against evil. He charges forward, flames swirling around his fists, ready to strike without hesitation. A sudden warning echoes, halting his attack as he senses something dangerous lurking ahead. Looking up, he finds himself caught in an intricate web, shining ominously in the moonlight. The spider silk glows, its razor-sharp edges proving far deadlier than Bei Ming anticipated. He grits his teeth, acknowledging his overconfidence nearly led him straight into a deadly trap. Taking a deep breath, he carefully plans his next move, knowing hesitation means failure. His opponent sneers, believing Bei Ming is still the same weak, predictable fighter from before. Clenching his fist, Bei Ming smirks, knowing he has become someone far beyond expectations. Bei Ming struggles against the web, his strength pushing against the unyielding threads restraining him. His opponent smirks, confident in the power difference that should make Bei Ming's resistance futile. With a powerful motion, Bei Ming rips through the silk, shattering expectations instantly. The commotion spreads, alerting nearby figures who rush toward the escalating battle with urgency. Realizing the risk, the enemy considers retreat, unwilling to expose their true nature too soon. Bei Ming advances, his energy flaring, challenging his opponent's confidence with his newfound strength. His opponent hesitates, sensing a shift in power that was never part of their calculations. More figures arrive, witnessing the chaos unfold, uncertain whether to intervene or observe. Among them, a powerful presence looms, silently assessing the battle's outcome from afar. Bei Ming smirks, determined to force the enemy's next move before they escape again. A dark aura lingers over the city, an ominous feeling creeping into the battlefield's atmosphere. The wolf beside Bei Ming observes, recognizing the strange energy disrupting the natural order. Looking at the sky, Bei Ming senses something bigger unfolding beyond his immediate fight. The tension grows, as unseen forces watch, waiting for the right moment to strike. Bei Ming remains unfazed, knowing this battle is only the beginning of something far greater. The wolf scoffs, unable to express his thoughts honestly, hiding his concern beneath his pride. A brief silence lingers, the air thick with tension as time seems to slow down. Yuer rushes forward, catching Bei Ming's weakened body, fear filling her trembling eyes. Bei Ming's body convulses, his veins pulsing as an unknown force takes control within him. With a sudden burst of energy, flames erupt around him, his power surging uncontrollably. Bei Ming stands, his body exhausted but unwavering, as Yuer holds onto him tightly. The wolf watches intently, noticing Bei Ming's brief hesitation before responding to the situation. Bei Ming brushes off concern, attempting to downplay his emotions despite the lingering tension. The city looms in the distance, yet unspoken emotions linger between them, heavier than words. The moonlight cast a glow over the city, illuminating the silent rooftops. Bei Ming stood on the ledge, analyzing his newfound strength with the mysterious white wolf. He felt his body lighter, his senses sharper. Something inside him had definitely changed. Below, an unexpected scene unfolded, rows of fighters synchronizing movements in perfect unison. A smiling figure welcomed them, radiating confidence as he prepared for an unusual confrontation. Bei Ming's vision sharpened, allowing him to see even distant figures with startling clarity. The white wolf observed him, unimpressed, exuding an aura of pride and experience. Ignoring the wolf's skepticism, Bei Ming focused on testing his physical and mental capabilities. He recalled stories of warriors who always measured their strength after gaining new power. Determined, he prepared himself for future battles, unsure of what challenges awaited him. Both Bei Ming and the white wolf leaned forward, curious about the distant sight. The wolf's eyes gleamed red, focusing intently on something across the building. A warmly lit window revealed a woman enjoying a private, tranquil moment inside. The realization hit them both at once, and their reactions turned into utter shock. Flustered, they quickly turned away, struggling to process the unexpected scene before them. A soft glow surrounded the woman as steam swirled, creating an ethereal atmosphere. She turned swiftly, sensing an unexpected presence disrupting her peaceful moment. Bei Ming froze, realizing he had been caught in an awkward situation. Instinctively, he ducked behind the railing, hoping to avoid any repercussions. The white wolf smirked, unimpressed by Bei Ming's nervous reaction to the encounter. Bei Ming took a deep breath, shifting his focus back to testing his abilities. He leaped effortlessly from the railing, energy flowing through his enhanced body. The city lights sparkled below as he descended with remarkable control. The white wolf's eyes widened, surprised by the reckless display of confidence. His descent accelerated, pushing his newfound powers to their limits. The white wolf's chains rattled as he prepared to intervene in the chaotic dive. With a swift movement, the wolf lunged, trying to pull Bei Ming back. Flames erupted around Bei Ming's body, reacting to his intense focus. Below, a heated conversation unfolded between two unsuspecting figures. The energy crackled as Bei Ming plummeted toward an unexpected collision course. Bei Ming plummeted through the air, his senses heightened beyond anything he had known before. Sounds from the city below reached him, distant whispers clear as if they were nearby. With perfect control, he extended his hand, forcefully gripping a nearby street lamp. Momentum carried him forward as he swung, using the pole to redirect his trajectory. Landing smoothly, he assessed his body, realizing his agility and endurance had improved significantly. A burst of energy erupted as Bei Ming crashed into the pavement, sparks scattering. The white wolf followed closely, landing gracefully amidst the sudden commotion. A startled couple recoiled, their fear evident as they clung to one another. An older man stepped forward, enraged by the disruption of his peaceful evening. Bei Ming smirked confidently, unbothered by the attention, as he casually adjusted his tie. The older man stared, confused by Bei Ming's unexpected presence and seemingly impossible movements. Bei Ming observed the man carefully, sensing a strange familiarity he couldn't immediately place. A sudden realization struck him. This was none other than the school's academic dean. Bei Ming's heart pounded as he wondered if the academic dean had seen his abilities. His eyes shifted to the woman beside the dean, sensing something unusual about her presence. A strange scent lingered in the air, catching his attention as he tried to identify it. He sniffed cautiously, realizing the source wasn't from him, but from the mysterious woman. His curiosity deepened, unsure of why her scent felt so distinct and oddly familiar. Bei Ming played it cool, pretending to be an innocent student caught wandering outside late. The dean's wary eyes studied him, questioning whether he had overheard something important. Bei Ming's heightened senses detected multiple lingering scents around the woman, raising his suspicions further. His casual yet pointed remark sent an immediate wave of tension through the group. The woman's reaction was swift, her composed demeanor cracking under the weight of his words. A burnt smell suddenly filled the air, making Bei Ming turn toward an unknown source. His instincts flared as he focused, realizing something strange was happening nearby. The dean, now agitated, shouted, trying to regain control of the situation. Bei Ming smirked, sensing danger, before vanishing into the shadows without hesitation. Left fuming, the dean clenched his fists, swearing he wouldn't forget this interference. Tires screeched as a taxi sped through the street, barely avoiding a disastrous collision. The sudden honking startled pedestrians, making them jump back in shock and confusion. The taxi swerved recklessly, speeding through the city without a moment of hesitation. Inside, passengers panicked, one desperately yelling for the driver to hit the brakes. The vehicle slammed into an obstacle, shaking violently from the force of the impact. A black vehicle flipped midair, tumbling uncontrollably over a crowd of stunned onlookers. Shouts of alarm echoed as figures scattered, dodging the unexpected airborne vehicle. A masked figure dashed through the chaos with inhuman speed, evading falling debris. A white wolf floated effortlessly, embracing the sensation of weightlessness once again. The scene unfolded like a surreal spectacle, a clash of power and unpredictable forces. The taxi rocketed skyward, propelled by an unknown force, defying all logic and gravity. A powerful figure emerged, preparing to counter the airborne vehicle with sheer strength. The masked figure braced himself, summoning energy to intercept the incoming impact. The vehicle crashed down, engulfed in flames as a massive shockwave erupted. Amidst the destruction, a triumphant voice echoed, lifting the taxi with incredible force. The crowd stared in shock as a figure soared through the sky, defying gravity. The taxi drivers exchanged bewildered glances, struggling to process what had just happened. Onlookers whispered, speculating whether they had just witnessed an elaborate stunt. Bei Ming landed gracefully, checking on the shaken passengers inside the crashed taxi. He reassured them, emphasizing the importance of safety and their fortunate seatbelt use. Bei Ming stepped forward, his movements fluid as if walking through air itself. He descended with ease, landing softly before an astonished bystander. Without hesitation, he reached out, patting the man's shoulder in a casual manner. The masked figure playfully complimented the man's unexpected performance and graceful moves. Bei Ming smiled mysteriously, leaving behind only an air of intrigue and unanswered questions. A group gathered, their expressions tense as they faced the approaching figure with uncertainty. A phone gleamed in the dim light, its screen capturing every detail of the moment. The crowd erupted with excitement, eager for more of the unfolding dramatic spectacle. A knowing smile formed, hinting that the real show was only just beginning. The academy stood tall, its students bustling through the gates, unaware of today's unusual tension. Among them, a lone figure walked confidently, drawing whispers and cautious glances from onlookers nearby. Bei Ming, once the respected leader, returned with a quiet presence that carried deep mystery. Some students discussed his past, recalling his strength and the respect he once commanded. Others harbored resentment, questioning whether his return signified trouble or something even more dangerous. A piercing gaze locked onto Bei Ming, a powerful presence sensing something beyond human perception. Bei Ming turned sharply, his expression calm yet eyes hiding an unspoken, suppressed fury. The white beast at his side studied him, analyzing wounds beyond the physical realm. A faint smirk appeared as energy flared. His resolve remained unshaken by taunts or judgment. The beast snarled in warning, sensing imminent danger lurking within the crowd's malicious intent. Whispered insults followed Bei Ming, their words aiming to strike deeper than any physical wound. He walked past them, unfazed, yet a familiar presence intervened before things escalated further. A female student stormed forward, her anger evident as she confronted those ridiculing Bei Ming. The beast's eyes glowed red, offering a violent solution to silence the mocking voices forever. Bei Ming refused vengeance, acknowledging their cruelty, but accepting his own responsibility in everything. The white beast growled, sensing frustration in the air, its sharp eyes never blinking. Bei Ming turned away, his thoughts distant, unaware of the footsteps approaching from behind. A familiar voice called out, breaking the moment's tension with unexpected concern. He hesitated briefly, unsure how to respond, but his guarded nature remained intact. The conversation took an unexpected turn, shifting towards unspoken worries and hidden burdens. Bei Ming smirked slightly, acknowledging the concern while keeping his emotions carefully controlled. His companion's face reddened, struggling to find the right words, but hesitation lingered. A sudden realization dawned, making the situation feel both amusing and surprisingly genuine. The mention of power brought momentary unease, but he dismissed it with casual indifference. He stretched his arms confidently, pretending everything was fine despite his concealed uncertainty. Inside, doubt crept in. Could he really explain everything without sounding completely insane? A distraction arrived just in time, shifting attention towards a crowd gathering nearby. Exam results were posted, drawing students in with an air of nervous anticipation. His companion hesitated, torn between concern and the urgency of the announcement. With a reassuring smile, he urged them forward, choosing to follow shortly after. The academy grounds felt heavier, tension lingering as footsteps echoed between the tall buildings. Bei Ming watched silently, observing movements around him, unsure what was coming next. The white beast's sharp glare pierced through the space, detecting something beyond normal comprehension. A moment of hesitation passed before Bei Ming took a step forward, unfazed by pressure. The beast's words carried weight, forcing an unspoken truth to the surface. Power clashed within the air as an unseen force seemed to challenge Bei Ming. The beast's aura flared, its presence demanding recognition despite its seemingly ordinary appearance. Bei Ming sighed, shaking his head as he processed the weight of the moment. The connection between them was strange, but undeniably strong, bound by something beyond logic. Words carried deep meaning, but actions would determine who truly held control over fate. His name wasn't listed among the top, an outcome he had half expected. The beast's amused expression only added fuel to an already complicated situation. Bei Ming exhaled, pushing aside unnecessary frustration, already knowing his path forward. Power, position, and recognition meant little if his own strength remained stagnant. He smirked slightly, knowing this was just the beginning of something much greater. Bei Ming clenched his fists, frustration rising as he faced the consequences of his absence. The white beast tilted its head, curiosity evident, questioning Bei Ming's true potential in exams. Bei Ming pondered for a moment, recalling his struggles and rigorous training despite setbacks. Confidence flickered in his eyes. As long as he wasn't last, he was fine. The murmurs around him grew louder, doubting whether he could escape last place again. Bei Ming turned sharply, sensing an intense presence behind him, his mind already preparing possibilities. The academic dean stood firm, expression stern, demanding Bei Ming's immediate compliance without hesitation. Whispers spread quickly, students exchanging glances as Bei Ming followed behind the academic dean. Some murmured with sympathy, others smirked, believing this was the end for him. The dean adjusted his glasses, clearing his throat as he prepared to speak seriously. A stern expression appeared as rules were stated, emphasizing the consequences of past failures. Despite the warning, a small opportunity remained, a final chance dangling before Bei Ming. Bei Ming bowed politely, acknowledging the situation, though his thoughts remained entirely elsewhere. Doubt flickered in his mind. Why was the dean suddenly offering him leniency? He concealed his emotions, responding calmly while calculating the true meaning behind everything. The dean's face tightened, sensing something off about Bei Ming's demeanor. With a confident grin, Bei Ming turned, dismissing the tension like it was nothing. As Bei Ming walked away, the dean's expression darkened, lost in deep contemplation. His instincts warned him the student was different, unpredictable, and far from ordinary. The white beast padded alongside Bei Ming, sensing his unspoken thoughts clearly. A sharp question arose, breaking the quiet, questioning his true commitment to school. Bei Ming smirked, knowing this was just the beginning of something much greater. Bei Ming sighed, reflecting on everything he had endured and the burdens weighing him down. His gaze darkened as thoughts of defeat and emptiness crept into his mind again. The white beast observed him silently, sensing the hidden struggle beneath his calm expression. A realization struck. The connection between them ran deeper than simple companionship or circumstance. Ahead, the teacher's office loomed, signaling another moment he couldn't avoid any longer. Inside the office, an air of authority and quiet observation filled the tense space. Bei Ming hesitated slightly before stepping forward, his usual composure flickering for a moment. The teacher adjusted her glasses, studying him closely before speaking with a knowing smile. His nervousness was apparent, but he masked it beneath a confident yet awkward expression. The white beast, outside, narrowed its eyes, sensing something strange about the situation. The beast tensed, feeling an unsettling aura as the conversation between them continued inside. Bei Ming's teacher offered words of wisdom, her expression both kind and somewhat unreadable. Despite the warm atmosphere, the beast remained wary, unable to shake the uneasy feeling. Bei Ming laughed lightly, but the tension between them wasn't entirely gone yet. Deep within, a change was stirring, something even the beast had yet to understand. The white beast remained cautious, observing the teacher with a growing sense of unease. Bei Ming felt an odd tension, unsure why his instincts warned him at that moment. The teacher calmly handed him a document, its contents enough to change everything instantly. His fingers tightened around the paper, realizing the significance of what lay before him. A smirk appeared, but behind it, his thoughts were already racing with new possibilities. The teacher's confidence didn't waver, expecting him to understand the weight of this opportunity. Bei Ming nodded, accepting both the challenge and responsibility now placed in his hands. He left the office with a deep breath, the weight of expectations settling in. The white beast followed closely, sensing something was still off about the entire situation. Suddenly, an unknown force surged, disrupting the quiet hallway with an overwhelming presence. The beast's fur bristled, detecting an unfamiliar aura unlike anything it had encountered before. Bei Ming turned sharply, feeling an oppressive energy pressing down on him unexpectedly. His instincts screamed danger, though he couldn't yet pinpoint where the threat was coming from. The beast's eyes narrowed. It recognized this power, something ancient and far too familiar. Without hesitation, both prepared themselves, knowing this encounter would change everything ahead. A dark aura erupted, swirling violently as an overwhelming presence manifested behind the teacher's figure. Bei Ming stood frozen, his mind clouded by an eerie sense of déjà vu. A deep voice echoed, announcing the arrival of something beyond human comprehension and logic. A monstrous being emerged, its piercing gaze sending chills down Bei Ming's spine. Light surged from his fingertips, an unfamiliar power awakening within him as confusion struck. A sudden car charge, headlights blinding, forcing Bei Ming to brace for impact. His eyes fluttered open, his vision blurry, the sensation of freefall gripping his chest. A brilliant light enveloped him, pulling him through an unseen force, reality distorting violently. Bei Ming gasped, suddenly seated in his classroom, the strange dream lingering in memory. Thoughts swirled. Was it a vision, or had he truly experienced another? A sharp noise startled him outside. An eerie flock of crows gathered ominously. The crows cawed relentlessly, their crimson eyes gleaming as shadows thickened in the sky. One crow, unnaturally large, stared directly at him, something unsettling hidden in its gaze. The classroom darkened, an unexplainable force creeping through, sending a shiver down his spine. Bei Ming turned sharply, his instincts screaming, as a powerful presence loomed behind him. The fluorescent lights flickered wildly, signaling the arrival of something beyond human understanding. Footsteps echoed through the hallway, as a presence approached with unwavering authority and purpose. The dean arrived, his piercing gaze scanning the room, bringing an uneasy silence. A sudden impact startled everyone as the desk trembled under the forceful slam. His voice carried weight, emphasizing the consequences of failure and the importance of discipline. A nervous student, overwhelmed, teared up, vowing to prove his worth through determination. The dean's glasses reflected frustration as he observed the hesitation among the students. A sharp sound signaled the start, tension rising with each second ticking away. Bei Ming felt an unnatural pressure, an eerie sound echoing within his ears. The classroom lights flickered, his vision blurring as a sharp sensation struck his mind. Outside, the clock tower trembled, an ominous disturbance unsettling the otherwise normal school day. The unsettling cries of crows filled the air, their numbers growing as they circled. Bei Ming rubbed his temple, trying to shake off the uneasy sensation lingering inside. He struggled to focus, feeling as if something was distorting his perception of reality. The dean's strict presence brought him back, reminding him of the importance of focus. He took a deep breath, setting aside distractions, determined to complete the exam. Bei Ming stared at his paper, his mind completely blank, unable to recall anything. His pen slipped from his hand, hitting the desk as frustration started sinking in. Panic surged through him, his so-called enhanced abilities weren't helping when he needed them. His heart pounded, realizing that his intelligence had taken a hit instead of improving. The dean's stern voice cut through the silence, demanding focus and discipline in the room. Bei Ming clenched his fists, forcing himself to calm down despite the overwhelming pressure. His thoughts raced back to the day he first discovered his strange abilities. He inhaled deeply, urging his mind to dig into the past for any useful knowledge. The ticking clock echoed in the silent classroom, reminding him that time was running out. His hand moved instinctively, writing as quickly as his thoughts would allow. The clock hands inched closer to the deadline, making his heart race with urgency. The dean approached, his presence alone sending another wave of pressure over Bei Ming. He glanced at his answers, barely confident, but at least he had written something. The final subject, history, stared back at him, the one subject he truly struggled with. Cold sweat formed on his forehead, knowing that failing this part meant serious consequences. Bei Ming smirked slightly, confident in the backup plan he had carefully prepared earlier. The dean's sharp gaze fixated on him, sensing something unusual about his sudden calm. Suspicion grew as the dean observed Bei Ming's hesitation, questioning his next move. With a swift motion, the dean closed the distance, eyes scanning the desk carefully. Slamming a chair down, he made his presence clear. No shortcuts would be allowed here. Bei Ming clenched his jaw, feeling time slipping away as pressure continued mounting. The ticking clock echoed loudly, a harsh reminder of his dwindling opportunity. A loud bang shattered the tense silence, startling everyone inside the classroom. He turned abruptly, eyes widening at the sight of a black crow hitting the window. Cracks spread across the glass, the lifeless bird's eerie presence sending chills through him. Bei Ming turned sharply, electricity crackling in the air, an ominous force pressing against him. The shattered window framed the eerie sight as crows scattered, leaving an unsettling silence. Bei Ming tensed, sensing an unnatural shift in the atmosphere within the classroom. The dean's expression remained firm, dismissing any notions of external disturbances. A loud crack split the air, shaking the entire school building violently. Desks trembled as the floor beneath them quivered, signaling an impending disaster. Bei Ming steadied himself as vibrations intensified, his instincts warning him of approaching danger. The announcement system buzzed, urging students and staff to remain calm amidst the chaos. An ominous rustling sound filled the air, echoing through the corridors of the school. He turned to the dean, who seemed oddly composed despite the unfolding events. Lightning flickered in the sky, casting shadows as tension thickened around them. The dean's voice carried frustration, unwilling to acknowledge the strange events disrupting the exam. Bei Ming clenched his fist, his mind racing with unanswered questions about the situation. A sudden realization struck him: the timing of these disturbances felt too precise. The world around him warped, a surreal energy swirling beneath his feet. The classroom dissolved into an unfamiliar space, the surroundings shifting into a boundless void. Bei Ming found himself surrounded by swirling mist, his body feeling weightless and disconnected. He struggled to understand the strange sensation, a lingering familiarity creeping into his mind. His fingers trembled as he reached out, the world shifting beneath his touch. A sudden impact sent a jolt through him, breaking his concentration. Shock filled his eyes as he recognized a familiar presence in the distance. The dean's gaze sharpened as Bei Ming hesitated, sensing the internal conflict brewing within him. Silence filled the room, the weight of an unspoken decision pressing down on them. The blank test paper sat on the desk, a defining moment waiting to unfold. The dean's warning carried finality: one wrong move, and there would be no second chances. Bei Ming clenched his fists, his determination solidifying with a deep breath. Bei Ming called out, his voice steady, catching the dean's attention in an unexpected way. With a sudden movement, he flipped a coin, its shine reflecting under the fluorescent lights. The dean's eyes followed its motion, wary of whatever trick Bei Ming had planned. The moment stretched as the coin spun, tension thickening in the air. Then, an unexpected force sent the coin ricocheting, unleashing an unexpected chain reaction. The coin deflected, striking the dean's face, sending shockwaves of surprise through the room. A strange force pulled the dean forward, his balance faltering as gravity shifted unnaturally. Bei Ming reacted swiftly, catching the dean before he crashed onto the hard floor. A surge of energy enveloped them, warping the space as flames coiled unnaturally. With the dean in tow, Bei Ming braced himself for whatever came next. The school trembled, but Bei Ming knew this was far beyond a simple earthquake. He rushed toward the exit, urgency pressing against his every movement. The hallway stretched endlessly, shadows twisting as a sinister force gathered. Stopping abruptly, his eyes widened at the sight of a gaping void ahead. Darkness spread, the air thick with malice, signaling an ominous presence approaching. A grotesque figure emerged, its body shifting unnaturally as more creatures formed around it. Bei Ming's breath hitched, the monstrous entities surrounding him radiating an eerie hunger. The creatures moved as one, closing the distance with inhuman speed. His mind raced, trying to find an opening before being overwhelmed. A single step forward, the creatures paused, their hollow eyes locked onto him. Bei Ming turned sharply, sensing an approaching presence, his instincts sharpening instantly. A white wolf leaped forward, its crimson markings glowing with an eerie intensity. The wolf's gaze met his, filled with a knowing awareness beyond a simple beast. The hallway stretched endlessly, an unsettling silence filling the once chaotic space. Bei Ming stepped forward, searching for the creatures that had vanished without a trace. The wolf sniffed the air, turning toward the window as a strange scent filled the night. Bei Ming followed its gaze, noticing a swirling darkness forming outside the school. A grotesque entity loomed, its form shifting unnaturally, eyes glowing with an ominous light. The air grew heavy, an overwhelming pressure making it difficult to breathe. The wolf bristled, recognizing the entity before it, the presence of a true predator. A massive entity radiated divine energy, its presence distorting the air with overwhelming pressure. The mysterious figure observed its form, questioning the nature of such an immense being's existence. Standing beside a large wolf, he contemplated the unknown threat looming over the distant horizon. The wolf's markings glowed as its ancient knowledge revealed the powerful force disrupting balance. Realization struck as the deity's energy seemed linked to a greater force influencing reality itself. Shocked, he recognized the location, the presence of a divine being unsettling his thoughts completely. Urgency overtook him as he bolted forward, determined to uncover the mystery awaiting ahead. The wolf followed closely, its instincts warning of impending danger lurking beyond their immediate reach. A haunting wail echoed through the corridor, signaling the entity's influence spreading further than anticipated. The deity's core pulsed violently, distorting the surroundings as an ominous force stirred deep within. The ground trembled as dark energy surged, the deity reacting to the disturbance with force. A wave of resistance erupted, tendrils of energy coiling around as reality warped unpredictably. He clenched his fists, steadying himself as the oppressive aura threatened to consume everything. The entity roared, its power unraveling with an ominous surge, shattering the stability of space. Eyes widened in horror as the destructive force expanded, signaling an inevitable confrontation approaching swiftly. The wolf's markings glowed, sensing an overwhelming force shifting within the collapsing battlefield ahead. A blinding light erupted, sending shockwaves across the city as energy surged unpredictably. Aerial view revealed devastation. The ground fractured as remnants of the battle scarred the land. Authorities arrived, securing the perimeter as their presence signaled the start of containment efforts. A phone call was made, urgency clear as decisions had to be taken immediately. The suited man adjusted his glasses, issuing firm orders to control the growing crisis. Frustrated students questioned the restrictions, demanding explanations while tensions between both sides escalated quickly. They confronted the officials, feeling suppressed under the tight security measures placed upon them. Officials stood firm, refusing to reveal classified information despite increasing pressure from the restless crowd. He pushed forward, frustration evident as resistance prevented him from advancing any further. Security forces blocked his path, insisting he remained where he stood without interference. His determination grew, knowing something important was unfolding beyond the barricade ahead. The suited man observed closely, calculating his next move as the situation intensified further. A sudden shift occurred, catching everyone off guard as something unexpected took place. A firm grip restrained him, forcing him down as resistance met overwhelming force. Frustration boiled inside as he struggled, realizing the situation was spiraling beyond his control. The surrounding crowd murmured, torn between obeying authority and questioning the true danger ahead. The tension escalated, a clear divide forming between those who sought answers and those silenced. A sudden outburst shattered the atmosphere, the pressure of unspoken truths weighing heavily on everyone. His breathing grew heavy, sweat dripping as he focused on something no one else perceived. Observers noticed his unusual reaction, questioning what unseen force had shifted his strength suddenly. The wolf watched closely, sensing a deeper change within him that defied logical explanation. A burning sensation surged through his veins, energy crackling as his surroundings blurred. His determination solidified, no longer hesitating as his body reacted instinctively to the unknown power. The suited man sneered, unaware of the shifting energy now radiating uncontrollably. A blinding explosion erupted, consuming everything within its radius with destructive intensity. Shocked gasps filled the air as the battlefield transformed into chaos instantly. His vision blurred, unable to process the sudden burst of raw energy. From within the flames, his silhouette emerged, engulfed in surging power beyond human comprehension. Determination burned fiercely, muscles tensed as he pushed forward, unwilling to let fate decide unfairly. The enemy struggled to understand the sudden explosion, doubting the boy could have done it. Flames flickered behind him as he turned, revealing a mysterious force glowing in his hands. Beiming moved swiftly, dodging an incoming strike before vanishing into smoke without a trace. The attacker panicked as the boy reappeared behind him, eyes burning with an unshakable determination. A powerful blow landed on the enemy's face, sending him flying backward with immense force. Chaos erupted as the enemy forces panicked, struggling to comprehend what had just happened. Another opponent lunged forward, but he was met with a devastating counterattack to the stomach. The boy's movement was effortless, weaving through attacks while his enemies crumbled one after another. His golden eyes sharpened as he realized he had no time to waste here. Explosions erupted, bodies fell, and the battlefield became a whirlwind of destruction and fear. Only 2 enemies remained standing, their expressions darkened as they realized their hopeless situation. Frustration surged through them as they cursed their incompetence against a mere high schooler. One enemy smirked, pulling out a gun, ready to end things with a single shot. The other hesitated, warning him that their mission was to subdue, not to kill. Instead of bullets, a strange glowing vial was pulled out, a mysterious solution to their problem. The enemy hesitated, feeling something was wrong, but it was already too late. A sudden surge of power erupted, making them turn just in time to react. Their bodies tensed as an overwhelming force surrounded them, shocking them beyond comprehension. A violent crackling energy surged forward, tearing through the air with unstoppable intensity. The boy stood firm, eyes sharp, sensing the opponent's hidden technique charging up rapidly. The enemy's attack should have been lethal, yet the boy stood unharmed, completely unaffected. Panic spread as the realization struck their strongest ability had failed entirely against him. The boy stepped forward, flames flickering around him, radiating an eerie and dangerous aura. With a smirk, he advanced, his presence alone causing fear to spread. The battlefield trembled as another group desperately tried to comprehend the unfolding chaos. A monstrous beast emerged, its eyes glowing with intelligence, observing the battlefield carefully. Its presence alone sent shivers down spines, a force far beyond mortal comprehension. The beast remained still, watching events unfold with an unsettling sense of patience. The boy clenched his fists, determination burning in his golden eyes like fire. His heart pounded as he locked onto his next target, ready to strike. The massive stone barrier was lifted, sending debris flying as the battlefield trembled violently. Dust filled the air as an unexpected force propelled the rubble forward with extreme power. The impact shook the ground, causing panic among those witnessing the incredible feat. A figure emerged from the wreckage, charging forward without hesitation through the chaos. Explosions erupted, sending enemies scattering as uncertainty gripped those still standing in the fight. The enemy forces searched frantically, sensing danger lurking beneath the rubble surrounding them. The boy, breathing heavily, glared at them with unwavering determination despite his exhaustion. Summoning his last strength, he clenched his fists and prepared for another assault. The ground beneath him trembled, signaling another devastating attack was about to unfold. A powerful surge of energy burst forth, causing enemies to collapse under the sheer force. The battlefield continued to shake as the enormous beast observed, its gaze locked onto him. Its presence loomed over the fight, radiating a terrifying pressure impossible to ignore. The boy braced himself, knowing the real battle was just beginning against overwhelming odds. A massive boulder crashed down, forcing a desperate dodge as danger closed in. Emerging from the shadows, another figure arrived, calling his name with urgency and concern. Yuer's eyes widened, filled with relief and disbelief, as she saw Bei Ming standing there. Bei Ming smiled, exhaustion visible, yet determination burned in his gaze as he reassured her. The ambulance arrived, surrounded by officials, as smoke still lingered over the destroyed battlefield. A stern figure stepped forward, his sharp eyes scanning the area with calculated precision. His presence alone commanded respect, making others hesitate before approaching him with questions. He smirked, realizing the situation was beyond ordinary and required his immediate intervention. As he stepped forward, the smoke around him vanished as if retreating from authority. Bei Ming and Yuer stood together, exhausted, surrounded by students whispering about their survival. The tension remained thick, with many struggling to believe everything had finally ended. Some doubted their safety, fearing another attack could come at any moment. Medics rushed forward, carrying away the injured as discussions about the incident intensified. A figure in authority stepped forward, directing his gaze toward Bei Ming with interest. Bei Ming smiled, brushing off concerns, while Yuer studied him with lingering uncertainty. Her heart pounded, sensing something had changed about him during this entire ordeal. The sky darkened slightly, raindrops beginning to fall, mirroring the weight of uncertainty. Bei Ming knew something deeper was at play, a hidden force moving in shadows. His gaze hardened, preparing himself for whatever was coming next without hesitation. Yuer watched quietly, deep in thought, realizing Bei Ming's presence held a greater meaning. Bei Ming stood before the principal, receiving recognition for his bravery and quick thinking. Students clapped, finally understanding his role in protecting them from the catastrophic incident. The principal silenced the crowd, addressing the urgent matter that led to the school's destruction. Investigators gathered, searching for clues about the true cause of the massive disaster. The announcement declared order restored, urging students to return home while authorities handled everything. A mysterious presence lurked nearby, observing the unfolding events with calculated interest. The enormous beast remained hidden, sensing an ominous energy surrounding the ruined area. Thick darkness filled the air, suppressing weaker beings as the creature absorbed its strength. It smirked, knowing this disturbance had created an opportunity to awaken its dormant abilities. Yuer hesitated, refusing medical treatment, dismissing her injuries as insignificant despite everyone's concern. Bei Ming insisted she receive proper care, unwilling to leave her side until assured. Their conversation caught attention, leaving others wondering about their deepening connection. Lin Lin teased Yuer, making her blush furiously while avoiding the conversation. Yuer's heart pounded, feeling confused about emotions she couldn't quite understand just yet. Bei Ming scratched his head, sensing something unusual lingering in the aftermath of battle. The beast watched him closely, warning that the fight was far from over yet. The energy in the air thickened, revealing an ominous presence lurking nearby. Bei Ming's mind raced, remembering the strange, shadowy figures from before. A monstrous entity emerged, its dark tendrils twisting as it loomed ominously. Bei Ming clenched his fists, realizing the monster's energy felt disturbingly familiar. The beast smirked, sensing an opportunity to absorb power from the growing chaos. Yuer's name was mentioned, sparking concern about her involvement in the upcoming danger. The beast moved swiftly, determined to unlock its full strength for the coming battle. A mysterious figure appeared in the distance, approaching silently through the mist. A cold wind blew as silver hair fluttered, marking the arrival of an unknown presence. She stepped forward gracefully, her piercing gaze locked ahead, radiating an overwhelming aura. Her expression remained unreadable as she whispered a name, recognizing the one standing before her. The school grounds were eerily quiet after the recent incident that left everyone shaken. Sitting by the fountain, he laughed, convinced nothing bad would happen to him tonight. She smiled brightly, reassuring him there was no danger while heading towards the washroom. He waved as she left, unaware of the ominous presence lurking nearby in the shadows. He grinned, feeling lucky to date such a beautiful girl, oblivious to the lurking threat. The wind rustled through the trees, and a strange energy filled the silent night. Water splashed violently from the fountain, an unnatural force disturbing the once calm surface suddenly. He checked his watch impatiently, wondering why she was taking so long to return. A soft click echoed from the hallway, making him believe she was finally back. His heart pounded with excitement, unaware that something far more terrifying awaited him. A pair of glowing red eyes stared down at him, sending chills through him. He froze as an eerie voice whispered, repeating his earlier words in a sinister tone. Dark creatures surrounded her, their twisted forms emerging from the shadows, exuding terrifying energy. She floated towards him, her eyes gleaming with hunger, calling for him to come. He screamed, stumbling backward as she reached out, reminding him of his earlier promise. The monstrous entity roared in agony, writhing as an overwhelming force crushed its twisted form. He reached out desperately, his face filled with fear, as an icy force enveloped him. A calm voice echoed through the air, whispering a chant that carried an ancient power. A cold, piercing gaze locked onto the chaos, revealing a presence beyond human comprehension. The sudden burst of power sent a shockwave, forcing everything into a frozen standstill. The creatures recoiled in confusion, their crimson eyes flickering with uncertainty under the freezing aura. Water swirled around, forming an intricate barrier, trapping the monstrous beings within its frozen prison. The overwhelming power subdued the chaos, leaving the battlefield completely under her absolute control. She stood confidently, radiating an aura of undeniable authority that silenced every lurking threat nearby. The creatures trembled in terror, recognizing the sheer might of the force standing before them. Dark entities lunged forward, their last attempt to break free from the icy domain. A swift motion sent crystalline shards flying, slicing through the creatures with merciless precision. The energy surrounding her intensified, weaving intricate patterns of frost into a deadly spectacle. She watched the chaos unfold unfazed, as her presence dictated the battlefield's ultimate outcome. The final remnants of the monstrous beings faded, leaving only the icy silence behind. The air trembled as an immense force surged, preparing to unleash an overwhelming attack. Energy wrapped around her, forming an unbreakable shield as the cold intensified with power. The monstrous entity recoiled, sensing the unstoppable might radiating from the deadly ice storm. She raised her weapon, channeling the chilling energy into a devastating strike aimed forward. Sharp shards of ice pierced through the battlefield, cutting down anything in their frozen path. The monstrous beings were torn apart, their forms shattering under the relentless onslaught of icy blades. She landed gracefully, the ground beneath her feet cracking from the unleashed power's impact. A victorious smirk formed as she glanced toward the fading remnants of defeated enemies. From the distance, a figure rushed forward, his expression twisted with urgency and shock. He stopped abruptly, unable to comprehend how the battlefield had changed so drastically. He observed the destruction, realizing an unknown force had wiped out the lurking threats instantly. The presence of a white-furred beast by his side confirmed the situation's growing tension. His mind raced, connecting past events to the unexplainable power unfolding before his eyes. The wolf tensed, recognizing an ominous energy still lingering despite the battlefield's sudden silence. She stood amidst the fading frost, her unwavering stance exuding an aura of dominance. She walked forward, standing amid shattered ice, while the monstrous remains loomed behind her ominously. He froze in shock, his instincts warning him of something beyond his comprehension approaching fast. Her cold gaze met his, an unspoken challenge lingering in the air between them. Confusion clouded his face as realization slipped away, while the wolf remained visibly unimpressed. The atmosphere grew tense as they stood on frozen ground, waiting for the next move. The wolf observed him carefully, questioning if he truly understood the situation unfolding before him. She pointed out a lingering presence, the faint scent of something unnatural still clinging. Her voice remained calm, acknowledging his previous bravery but implying something far more dangerous awaited. His expression shifted to confusion, struggling to comprehend the weight of her ominous words. Without hesitation, she moved, unleashing a powerful force that sent him stumbling backward. Bei Ming barely reacted in time, startled by the unexpected strength behind her sudden attack. Yu'er closed the distance swiftly, leaving him with no chance to escape the confrontation. A powerful strike connected, sending him crashing into the frozen battlefield with tremendous impact. He groaned, realizing her abilities far exceeded anything he had faced before this encounter. She lunged again, forcing him onto the defensive as her attacks came relentlessly fast. Bei Ming barely dodged, feeling the sheer force of her strikes cutting through the air. She remained composed, watching his movements carefully, waiting for an opening to strike. Her eyes narrowed as she finally spotted an opportunity to end the fight. She unleashed a decisive blow, closing the battle with an overwhelming display of power. His chest burned as the energy surged, his body struggling to withstand the immense pressure. She narrowed her eyes, realizing something unexpected had just changed the flow of their battle. A small identification booklet revealed a hidden truth, shaking her previous perception of him. Her gaze sharpened, the realization settling in as she prepared for her next move. She leaped forward, unleashing another powerful strike to test his true strength immediately. She moved gracefully, her ice-infused energy spiraling around her in a breathtaking display of control. He clutched the booklet, trying to process the surprising revelation about their shared connection. She stared at him intensely, frustration growing over how effortlessly he disrupted her balance. He smirked, believing he had uncovered the real reason behind her visible irritation. The wolf scoffed, unimpressed by his assumption, finding amusement in his carefree attitude. His eyes darkened, understanding that mere words wouldn't be enough to settle their conflict. She stood firm, acknowledging that only through battle could she determine his real potential. The wolf sensed a shift, recognizing an undeniable force awakening between the two opponents. Power surged beneath her feet, an intricate formation forming as her determination solidified. He braced himself, knowing this battle had just escalated beyond simple misunderstandings. He braced himself, questioning how things escalated so quickly into a life-threatening battle. The wolf remained vigilant, recognizing an overwhelming power beyond anything encountered before. She pointed directly at him, declaring her intention to settle everything through absolute force. Ice spiraled around her, forming an unstoppable attack as the battlefield froze over completely. His eyes widened, understanding that this next move would determine the battle's true outcome. Ice shards filled the air, their sharp edges cutting through the battlefield with precision. He barely reacted as massive ice pillars erupted, shaking the ground beneath him violently. The impact sent shockwaves, forcing him to rethink his strategy in the overwhelming situation. His expression shifted from shock to desperation, realizing he had no escape from this. The wolf remained unimpressed, watching him struggle under the sheer force of the attack. He shouted in panic, finally understanding the depth of the opponent he had challenged. The wolf growled, unimpressed, urging him to stop hesitating and act before it was over. He turned, attempting an escape, but the battlefield's frozen structure left no openings. A powerful impact struck him mid-air, sending him crashing with incredible force downward. The ground shattered beneath him, his body skidding across the battlefield's frozen surface helplessly. The force of the impact sent him crashing through walls, ice shards scattering everywhere violently. His voice echoed through the frozen battlefield, attempting to maintain composure despite overwhelming pressure. He flipped mid-air, barely controlling his descent, as energy surged around him unpredictably. Murushue raised her glowing hand, channeling energy as she prepared to unleash a devastating attack without hesitation or mercy. She thrust her hand forward, sending icy shards spiraling toward Bei Ming, filling the air with freezing energy and sharp edges. The ice burst outward, forming intricate crystalline patterns, spreading rapidly as the chilling energy surged through the battlefield like a storm. The force of the attack shattered the ground, sending jagged ice spikes shooting in every direction, creating an impassable barrier. As the dust settled, Murushue stood in the center of her frozen domain, her gaze fixed on the stunned Bei Ming. Ice spears whizzed through the air, narrowly missing Bei Ming as he dodged swiftly, evading the deadly frozen assault with sharp reflexes. He lunged forward, breaking through the icy barrage, reaching Murushue before she could react, his movement precise and deliberate. Murushue looked at him, surprised by his sudden approach, her sharp eyes scanning his face for any sign of hesitation. Bei Ming stood firm, his expression unwavering, offering a deal that could shift the course of their battle and uncertain fate. His words hung in the cold air, challenging her resolve, forcing Murushu to reconsider as the tension between them thickened. Murushu remained silent, gripping her ice-forged weapon, her mind racing as conflicting thoughts clashed within her determined and resolute heart. Bei Ming stood his ground, watching her carefully, waiting for her decision, unwavering even as cold energy crackled around them violently. Her piercing gaze remained locked on him, assessing his sincerity as the frozen air between them thickened with unspoken tension. With a sudden movement, Murushu raised her weapon, preparing another attack, her icy resolve unshaken by Bei Ming's unexpected words. A surge of energy exploded outward as her power reached its peak, sending another deadly storm of ice toward Bei Ming instantly. Murushue knelt beside Bei Ming, her eyes scanning the battlefield as a strange presence filled the air around them. Laughter echoed from the shadows, and a figure with glowing red eyes emerged, exuding a sinister and overwhelming dark energy. His smile widened as he stepped forward, his aura twisting into tendrils of darkness that pulsed with an eerie, chaotic power. Murushue narrowed her eyes, sensing the corruption spreading, while the enemy's presence warped reality, sending waves of dread outward. The ground beneath them cracked as a monstrous force erupted, revealing a grotesque entity pulsing with raw, uncontrollable energy. The monstrous form loomed over them, radiating overwhelming power, while Bei Ming steadied himself, preparing for whatever came next. Murushu and Bei Ming stood ready as the creature's many eyes gleamed, its tentacles thrashing with unnatural and terrifying movements. A sudden realization struck as the corrupted energy intensified, warping the battlefield and filling the space with suffocating dread. Bei Ming clenched his fists, his mind racing, as Murushue assessed their enemy, searching for any possible weakness to exploit. The creature roared, its body pulsating with sinister energy, shaking the battlefield as its chaotic power surged forward like a storm. Murushue stepped forward, her icy magic flaring as she focused, determined to eliminate the threat before it consumed everything. Bei Ming watched closely, his gaze locked onto the shifting form, ready to strike if the situation demanded immediate action. Murushue's figure blurred as she launched herself forward, her movements sharp, precise, and filled with unrelenting force. Magic spiraled around her as she soared toward the entity, her resolve unshaken despite the overwhelming presence looming before her. With a final surge of energy, Murushue unleashed a devastating attack, aiming to obliterate the monstrous enemy completely. Murushue lunged forward, her blade slicing against the massive serpent's scales, but the impact barely left a mark. A sharp crack echoed as her sword shattered against the beast's impenetrable defense, leaving her momentarily stunned by its resilience. Murushue's eyes widened as she quickly retreated, her mind racing for a way to counter the enemy's overwhelming strength. She formed a protective barrier, intricate runes glowing as icy energy surged outward, shielding her from the serpent's oncoming attack. The beast roared, slamming its tail against the barrier, sending shockwaves through the ground as Murushue braced herself. Murushue felt her strength waver as energy surged around her, her form flickering amidst the overwhelming force surrounding her. Memories of the past resurfaced, her mind clouded with thoughts of regret as she questioned the outcome of this battle. A distant silhouette emerged from the glowing light, a familiar presence filling her with warmth despite the chaos unfolding. A sudden explosion shook the battlefield as an unknown force intervened, striking down with blinding intensity, disrupting the ongoing battle. The energy blast hurtled toward its target, crackling with immense power, threatening to shift the tide of the confrontation entirely. Bei Ming smirked as he moved swiftly, intercepting Murushue before she could land a direct strike on the enemy. A powerful force struck, sending Murushue spiraling backward as the battlefield trembled beneath the overwhelming energy radiating around them. Flames erupted as the ground cracked, engulfing everything in chaos, while Bei Ming took control of the unfolding confrontation. He stood firmly, carrying Murushue in his arms, his unwavering presence shielding her from the destructive force surrounding them. Murushue stepped down, steadying herself as energy crackled around them. Her expression conflicted while facing the overwhelming presence ahead. The ground trembled beneath them as Bei Ming stood firm, readying himself to confront the massive entity looming before them. Murushu hesitated briefly, her heart pounding as she watched Bei Ming prepare for battle, determination reflecting in his eyes. Flames illuminated the battlefield as tension thickened, Murushue watching closely, uncertain of what Bei Ming was planning next. The enemy's monstrous form twisted, radiating a terrifying aura, as Bei Ming clenched his fists, preparing to strike without hesitation. Bei Ming launched forward with explosive speed, his energy igniting as he charged directly toward the towering enemy with full force. A sudden misstep disrupted his momentum, sending him spiraling downward, shock flashing in his eyes as he lost control. His body slammed into the battlefield, the impact shattering debris around him, while the monstrous enemy loomed ominously above. Sharp tendrils lashed out, restraining him mid-air, their grip tightening as he struggled against the overwhelming force pulling him down. Energy erupted violently from the creature's core, sending waves of destruction outward, while Murushue watched in stunned silence. Murushue covered her face, overwhelmed by emotions as the battle raged on, uncertainty gripping her thoughts like an unrelenting storm. Xiaotian stood beside her, watching intently, sensing the turmoil within her heart as energy pulsed around them. Bei Ming clenched his jaw, summoning his strength, unwilling to accept defeat as he struggled against the enemy's relentless grasp. His expression hardened as he unleashed a burst of energy, shattering the restraints holding him captive with sheer determination. With renewed resolve, Bei Ming lunged forward, his fists crackling with power as he launched a counterattack against the monstrous enemy. A massive beast roared as it clashed with the monstrous entity, their power shaking the battlefield with overwhelming force. Murushue watched in shock as Bei Ming unleashed strength she had never witnessed before, his aura burning fiercely. The energy surrounding them intensified, distorting the air as Murushue felt an undeniable surge of pressure weighing down. The monstrous entity howled, its tendrils flailing wildly, reacting to the sudden increase in Bei Ming's powerful offensive strike. Bei Ming gripped the enemy's body tightly, preparing to turn the tide of battle with a decisive and fearless move. The battlefield spun wildly as Bei Ming executed a devastating maneuver, his grip tightening as energy spiraled uncontrollably. Murushue observed, her heart pounding as the monstrous entity struggled against Bei Ming's relentless assault, unable to retaliate. Bei Ming's rapid movements created a vortex of destruction, his power reaching new heights with each forceful rotation. The enemy's form distorted, its resistance weakening as Bei Ming's momentum increased, pushing his technique to its absolute limit. With an earth-shaking throw, Bei Ming launched the enemy skyward, setting up the perfect opportunity for Murushue's finishing blow. Murushue stepped forward, her icy energy condensing as she summoned a devastating technique, her focus sharper than ever. She raised her hands, calling upon frozen energy as a blizzard swirled, preparing to unleash her strongest magical attack. The temperature plummeted as snow and frost gathered, forming an enormous ice prison designed to trap the monstrous entity. With precise control, Murushue released an overwhelming wave of ice, freezing everything within reach in an instant. The battlefield fell silent as crystalline frost encased the enemy, sealing it completely in an unbreakable eternal prison of ice. The ice barrier sealed the monstrous entity completely, its massive body trapped within Murushue's strongest magic, freezing everything inside instantly. Xiaotian observed, its eyes narrowing as it sensed something unusual. questioning the unexpected nature of Murushue's powerful spell. A powerful impact sent shockwaves through the area, shaking the frozen battlefield as Bei Ming and Murushu stood nearby. The frozen monster appeared like a crystalline sculpture, reflecting light beautifully. Though uncertainty lingered about whether it would remain sealed, Murushue maintained her composure, confident that higher authorities would soon intervene and ensure the creature's containment for good. Bei Ming smirked, attempting to shift the conversation now that the battle had ended, eager to understand Murushue's next move. Murushu remained distant, unwilling to entertain his words, dismissing him with a sharp look as she turned away. A brief silence settled before Murushu declared her decision, making it clear that she would tolerate Bei Ming temporarily. Bei Ming's confusion deepened as he tried to make sense of Murushue's cold attitude despite their recent teamwork. Suddenly, an explosion erupted nearby, shattering the brief moment of peace and forcing them to turn their attention again. Murushue's expression darkened as she sensed an unexpected disturbance, the ice barrier beginning to crack under unseen pressure. Bei Ming stiffened, watching as an ominous energy seeped through the fissures, signaling the creature's resistance against its imprisonment. The sealed monster surged with renewed strength, a deep pulse of energy radiating outward, shattering the icy prison completely. Bei Ming lunged forward, attempting to intercept the incoming attack, his instincts pushing him to shield Murushui from danger. Murushue's eyes widened as Bei Ming deflected the dark energy, his body absorbing the impact while refusing to falter. Bei Ming struggled against the enemy's relentless grip, his body twisting as he fought to free himself from the tightening grasp. Murushui observed from a distance, her expression tense as she assessed the overwhelming strength their opponent continued to display. The battlefield darkened as an ominous energy pulsed, a new form emerging from within the shadows with terrifying power. The monstrous figure stepped forward, its presence radiating authority as its new vessel surged with an immense, uncontrollable energy. A sinister glow surrounded the figure, his transformation complete, standing tall with raw, pulsating power ready to unleash devastation. Bei Ming reacted instantly, launching forward with a fiery strike, but the enemy dodged effortlessly, countering with terrifying precision. A sudden explosion erupted, sending shockwaves across the battlefield as Bei Ming barely managed to avoid the destructive impact. Murushuei watched closely, realizing their enemy had absorbed far more power than anticipated, making him significantly stronger. The battle intensified as Bei Ming struck again, but his strongest attack was deflected without effort, leaving him stunned. The monstrous enemy smirked, his aura growing darker as he prepared to retaliate with an overwhelming counterattack against Bei Ming. The enemy's attack lashed out, tendrils of dark energy wrapping around Bei Ming, constricting him before he could react. His body twisted painfully as he struggled, unable to break free, while Murushui quickly gathered her power to intervene. The dark tendrils lifted Bei Ming into the air, energy surging through them, draining his strength with every passing second. The battlefield shook as Murushu launched an ice barrage, aiming to sever the tendrils before Bei Ming was overwhelmed. Bei Ming crashed onto the ground, exhausted and powerless, realizing the vast difference in strength between him and their enemy. Bei Ming charged forward, launching a powerful attack, but the monstrous force deflected it effortlessly, sending him crashing backward violently. A shockwave erupted upon impact, the sheer force splitting the ground as debris scattered around Bei Ming's injured form. Struggling to his feet, Bei Ming coughed blood, realizing the overwhelming gap between his strength and the enemy's power. Doubt filled Bei Ming's mind as he grasped his injuries, questioning if he could survive against such an impossible foe. Xiao Tian stepped forward, his gaze sharp, acknowledging the overwhelming force, knowing this battle exceeded anything a mortal could handle. Xiao Tian's sharp eyes locked onto Bei Ming, frustration evident as he questioned his resolve to fight against impossible odds. Bei Ming clenched his fists, struggling against his pain, knowing his broken body could no longer keep up with battle. A realization struck, even with demonic strength, he remained powerless against the celestial force standing before him. The battlefield froze as Murushui intervened, her icy magic sealing Bei Ming's wounds to keep him conscious. Murushui stood firm, determined to handle the threat alone, unwilling to let Bei Ming continue fighting in his condition. Murushui's cold gaze met Bei Ming's, making it clear that this battle was never meant to be his. Bei Ming's frustration grew as he realized she had no intention of letting him interfere any further. His mind raced, questioning her motives, fearing she was seeking certain death rather than a strategy to win. Murushu remained steadfast, embracing the purpose of her existence, a warrior destined to face death since birth. With unwavering determination, she stepped forward, vanishing in a blur of ice, leaving Bei Ming reaching helplessly toward her. Bei Ming rushed forward, dodging the incoming attack while searching for an opening against the overwhelming power restraining Murushu. The dark energy surrounded Murushu, tendrils tightening around her, while Bei Ming clenched his fists, desperately trying to react. The creature's laughter echoed as Murushui struggled within the grasp of shadows, her aura flickering against the suffocating darkness. Bei Ming's eyes widened in fury, his instincts screaming as he lunged forward, determined to free Murushu from its grasp. A voice whispered in his mind, urging him to focus, reminding him of the power hidden deep within his soul. Xiaotian locked eyes with Bei Ming, its voice firm as it offered a dangerous yet necessary solution to win. Bei Ming hesitated, realizing the consequences, his body trembling as he weighed Xiaotian's words against their dire situation. Xiaotian's gaze remained steady, emphasizing that without drastic action, Murushu and everyone else would be doomed. Murushu, struggling against her restraints, barely managed to glance at Bei Ming, silently urging him to act immediately. Bei Ming clenched his fists, determination burning in his eyes as he made his decision, embracing Xiaotian's soul within him. Xiaotian's body crackled with energy, releasing a long-suppressed force as glowing marks burned fiercely across its fur. A golden chain wrapped in lightning shot through the sky, breaking through unseen barriers as the air trembled violently. A thunderous explosion struck the ground, sending waves of energy rippling outward, shaking buildings as sparks filled the sky. A fiery explosion erupts in the sky, sending waves of energy across the battlefield as power surges through the surroundings. Flames swirl around as a figure stands firm, lightning crackling beneath his feet while a menacing presence looms in the distance. His eyes glow fiercely with newfound strength, muscles tensing as an overwhelming force courses through his body, changing him completely. Sparks shoot from the ground as his steps shake the battlefield, raw energy bursting from his form with uncontrollable intensity. Xiaotian watches from the shadows, their ears twitching while an eerie laughter fills the air, signaling impending danger ahead. A masked figure turns slightly, golden eyes gleaming as immense power radiates from their newly formed body, crackling with dark energy. They stretch their fingers, relishing the sensation of possessing overwhelming strength, smirking as the battlefield trembles under their presence. Confidence fills their expression as they gaze upon their opponent, questioning whether this power alone is enough to break them completely. Dark energy swirls violently, rising into the air before launching toward the enemy, waves of destruction threatening to consume everything nearby. Countless spheres of energy form above as the figure raises their hands, unleashing chaos with the intent to eradicate all opponents. A shadowy figure radiated energy, floating in the air. Xiaotian watched as the presence charged, power crackling and distorting reality. A massive surge exploded forward, shaking the ground. Xiaotian stood unfazed, stepping forward as his opponent unleashed overwhelming force. A confident aura surrounded Xiaotian, as energy orbs bounced around him. The night burned with intensity as he advanced unshaken. Glowing red eyes pierced through the darkness. Recognition flashed across the opponent's face, realizing the terrifying power standing before him. Xiaotian smirked, standing tall. His presence alone dominated the battlefield. The encounter was no coincidence, but fate bringing past enemies together. The past haunted his opponent's mind. Once powerful, now broken, he remembered the pain and humiliation caused by merciless captors. His body bore scars of torment. Not only was his power stripped away, but his very identity had been reshaped by suffering. Xiaotian watched his opponent struggle. Power alone was meaningless without purpose, and he saw nothing but desperation in his adversary's eyes. Flames ignited around them, fueled by deep hatred. The enemy seethed, realizing humans had used him as a mere weapon. A sinister laugh erupted as the realization struck. Revenge was no longer a choice, but the only path forward. Xiaotian exuded amusement. The struggle, the hatred, the desperation, it was all meaningless before absolute strength. His dominance was unquestionable. Darkness clashed with radiant energy, shaking the sky. Xiaotian observed as his opponent tried to control the chaotic power within. Energy erupted, warping space itself. His opponent's transformation was incomplete, a desperate attempt to regain what had already been lost. The sky darkened as the battle escalated. Xiaotian's aura intensified, his power dwarfing everything in sight, signaling the final confrontation. Flames raged across the battlefield. Xiaotian's opponent prepared to strike, knowing that this would determine the fate of everything. Xiaotian stood amidst burning lights, his presence dominating. His aura radiated immense power as his opponent trembled, facing overwhelming destruction. A chilling energy coiled around Xiaotian's form. His power surged, twisting the surroundings as flames flickered, consuming everything in sight. With a menacing smile, Xiaotian exuded confidence. His glowing red eyes promised devastation as the battlefield shuddered under his influence. A monstrous fiery beast lunged forward, its fangs gleaming. The sheer force behind its presence sent shockwaves through the darkened sky. Energy erupted as the battlefield trembled violently. Shadows danced wildly while the incoming force rushed forward, threatening absolute annihilation within moments. Xiaotian's opponent swiftly maneuvered, avoiding the deadly assault. His body radiated power as shadows twisted, preparing to counter the overwhelming attack. Speed and precision guided the swift counterattack. Blades of energy sliced through the air, aiming to pierce through the thick inferno. The impact sent shockwaves outward. The battlefield erupted as the force of their clash disrupted the very fabric of space. A twisted energy materialized behind Xiao Tian's opponent. Burning skeletal warriors emerged from the darkness, their soulless eyes locked onto destruction. The summoned warriors stood unwavering. Their presence carried the weight of death, each movement synchronized with the chaotic energy surrounding them. Xiao Tian's aura darkened as he absorbed the lingering deathly presence. His body crackled with divine energy, suppressing the twisted forces. With a single gesture, an immense energy wave exploded outward. The heavens trembled under his growing strength, warping reality itself. His opponent retaliated, pouring everything into an explosive attack. Their powers collided violently, sending ripples through the broken remnants of their battlefield. The sky shattered under the sheer force of their battle. Xiao Tian's overwhelming presence loomed as his power reached absolute heights. An explosion tore through the battlefield, sending both figures flying. The final moment of impact determined everything as destruction raged endlessly. Flames erupted as Xiao Tian's opponent screamed in agony. The intense heat seared his body, engulfing him in blinding golden light. A burning sphere crackled with overwhelming energy. The sky trembled as the radiant force radiated outward, threatening to consume everything nearby. Xiao Tian grinned while casually chewing. His eyes glowed with amusement as he savored the powerful flames, unfazed by their intensity. Muru Shui's vision blurred as she regained consciousness. Her body ached, struggling to process the overwhelming power surging through the battlefield. She gasped, feeling the ground tremble violently. Looking up, she saw Xiao Tian floating, his presence exuding an unfamiliar, terrifying force. Xiao Tian's form burned with dark energy, his aura no longer the same. The overwhelming demonic presence surrounding him felt unnatural. Muru Shui's heart pounded as the air distorted. A monstrous entity emerged behind Xiao Tian, its fiery form radiating pure destruction. Flames roared as a terrifying figure rose from the inferno. Its presence sent shockwaves, reshaping the battlefield with chaotic force. Xiao Tian's expression remained composed. Raising his hand, countless blazing weapons materialized, swirling above as they locked onto Muru Shui. Fire and energy merged, forming a storm of destruction. Muru Shui braced herself, realizing the attack held unimaginable, overwhelming force. An explosion erupted, sending waves of scorching heat in all directions. The battlefield trembled as darkness and flames consumed everything. A vortex spiraled into existence, pulling everything toward its core. Xiao Tian hovered, watching as Muru Shui struggled against the force. Muru Shui felt her strength fading as the abyss grew stronger. The void twisted reality, threatening to erase everything completely. A blinding explosion erupted, consuming the battlefield. Xiao Tian's immense control over destruction bent space, warping everything into oblivion. The vortex expanded, flames withdrawing into Xiao Tian's grasp. Muru Shui could only watch, powerless against the monstrous force. Xiao Tian's gaze remained cold, understanding the weight of resentment. He knew such hatred would only fester if left unchecked. Power surged as he extended his hand, absorbing the remnants of her energy. Muru Shui felt her essence slipping away. Flames danced as Xiao Tian pulled her closer. Muru Shui's body faded into his power, becoming a part of him. Xiao Tian's smirk widened as dark energy coiled around him. The power surging within him pulsed ominously, reshaping the battlefield entirely. A powerful impact struck, shattering the silence. Muru Shui's vision blurred as she sensed something ancient, awakening deep within. Xiao Tian's body radiated an intoxicating aura, his power devouring everything. A familiar sensation washed over him, evoking memories long forgotten. His energy flared violently, distorting space. He savored the overwhelming force coursing through him, indulging in the limitless potential it provided. Muru Shui trembled, watching the terrifying transformation. She clenched her fists, realizing the immense danger standing before her was unstoppable. Xiao Tian's gaze flickered with curiosity. The mortal realm held unexpected mysteries, enticing him further as he reveled in his newfound strength. The realization struck Muru Shui. She clenched her fists tighter, bracing herself against the terrifying pressure Xiao Tian emitted effortlessly. Sparks of energy crackled around them. Xiao Tian's eyes gleamed as he studied Muru Shui's defiance, amused by her resistance. He tilted his head, pondering a new thought. Devouring her immediately seemed wasteful, given her remarkable spirit and undeniable beauty. A sly smile formed as he reached forward. He offered her a choice, his words laced with ominous intent and power. Muru Shui's expression hardened. Cold energy erupted from her palm, slicing through the air as she launched an immediate counterattack. Xiao Tian dodged effortlessly, grinning. The icy shards shattered upon impact, unable to pierce his powerful aura surrounding him. The battlefield trembled under their growing intensity. Muru Shui's attacks intensified, her determination unwavering as she refused to succumb to fear. Xiao Tian's amusement grew as he watched her struggle. He sensed her heart pounding, Amused by the contradiction between fear and defiance, Murushui gritted her teeth and retaliated. She refused to acknowledge his words, determined to fight until the very end. Ice surged around Xiaotian, forming an impenetrable prison. Murushui's attack intensified, aiming to trap him within freezing destruction. A violent energy slash shattered the ice instantly. Xiaotian's power pulsed, effortlessly cutting through the overwhelming force surrounding him. The battlefield quaked as his power twisted the air. Xiaotian's amused expression deepened, sensing Murushui's unwavering determination. He stepped forward, exuding undeniable dominance. His presence alone crushed the atmosphere, radiating a pressure no ordinary being could withstand. Murushui's eyes burned with fury. Gritting her teeth, she lunged forward, pushing her power beyond limits in one final strike. Murushui struck, ice surging from her fingertips. Her attack shimmered, spiraling with devastating energy as she aimed for victory. Xiaotian's expression remained unchanged. With a single motion, his body moved, effortlessly closing the distance between them in seconds. His arms wrapped around her, sealing her movement. A chilling realization dawned on Murushui as her energy was forcefully drained. Strength rapidly left her body. Murushui's breathing became unsteady, her vision blurring as the power she once controlled slipped away. A wave of weakness overtook her. She clenched her fists, struggling against the inevitable, but resistance felt completely meaningless now. A golden chain descended, crackling with energy. The weight of its presence sent shockwaves, radiating divine power across Bei Ming's battlefield. Bei Ming's eyes snapped open. Confusion flashed across his face as reality twisted, binding him within glowing restraints of unknown origin. Chains wrapped tightly around Bei Ming's body. He struggled against them, muscles straining as the powerful force held him completely immobile. The battlefield erupted as energy clashed violently. A distant explosion sent tremors across the land, shaking the very fabric of space. Bei Ming gritted his teeth, fighting desperately. But the restraints refused to break, locking him in place as destruction loomed above. Bei Ming's fury ignited as golden chains tightened. His body strained, struggling against the overwhelming force that shackled his movements completely. A burning rage filled his eyes. He clenched his fists, realizing his body was being overtaken by a relentless presence. The chains crackled with power, resisting his defiance. Bei Ming gritted his teeth, feeling his strength being continuously drained. A powerful force surged from within. Bei Ming roared in frustration, attempting to shatter the constraints binding him in place. A chilling voice echoed. A wolf-like figure emerged, eyes glowing with eerie light, its power pressing down upon Bei Ming. Bei Ming's breath hitched as realization struck. His opponent refused to return his body, their goals diverging despite past trust. Xiaotian's piercing gaze held no remorse. It acknowledged their connection yet saw his body as a vessel, nothing more. Bei Ming's heart pounded, betrayal weighing heavily. His past faith in this entity had been shattered beyond repair. Xiaotian bared its fangs, amused by his defiance. The golden chains tightened further, reminding Bei Ming of his captivity. Sparks crackled around them. The tension between captor and captive thickened, both unwilling to submit to the other's will. Bei Ming's determination hardened. Energy coursed through his body as a newfound realization gave him strength to fight back. The chains rattled violently. A surge of power erupted from within, sending shockwaves as the restraints began to weaken. Xiaotian's expression darkened, sensing the shift. It had underestimated Bei Ming's willpower, something far stronger than anticipated. Bei Ming's strength reached its peak, his chains shattered, unleashing a blinding surge of energy that threatened to consume everything. The battlefield trembled. Bei Ming stood amidst crackling golden energy, a force reborn, prepared to reclaim what was rightfully his. Bei Ming stepped forward, golden chains still wrapped around his wrists. The air crackled with energy, illuminating his determined expression. Dark clouds swirled as lightning arced across the battlefield. Bei Ming's presence radiated an unyielding force, signaling his defiance against Xiaotian. His eyes burned with conviction. He clenched his fists, ready to unleash his power, determined to reclaim control over his fate. Xiaotian stood firm, red markings glowing as his eyes locked onto Bei Ming, exuding an overwhelming and dominant presence. Chains rattled as Xiaotian snarled, radiating power. His form pulsed with unnatural energy, defying logic and demanding immediate attention. A deep growl echoed, shaking the air. His gaze carried weight, making it clear that Bei Ming was unwelcome here. The ground trembled as sparks of energy burst forth, revealing an ominous warning. An unseen force sealed the battlefield completely. Lightning crackled above, illuminating jagged peaks. The sky turned dark as the confrontation escalated, promising destruction with every second. Pain surged through Bei Ming's body, electricity coursing like wildfire. His limbs stiffened as his senses overloaded from the sheer power. Sparks danced wildly across his skin, forcing him to stagger. A surge of energy unlike any before overwhelmed his body. The mountain split apart, revealing a glowing core of energy. Thunder raged, forming a vortex of destruction around the battlefield. Power rippled through the air, pressing down with divine force. The oppressive weight of Xiao Tian's presence could no longer be denied. Xiao Tian bared his fangs, standing resolute. An unshakable will burned in his gaze, daring Bei Ming to continue forward. Xiao Tian's gaze sharpened, studying Bei Ming closely. A storm of power swirled, fueled by ancient forces hidden deep within. Sparks danced between them, their energies clashing in an unseen battle of dominance. The fight was no longer about strength alone. The ground beneath them cracked, unable to withstand the forces at play. Each moment pushed reality closer to complete devastation. A smirk formed on Xiao Tian's face, recognizing the challenge. His confidence remained unshaken despite the overwhelming force before him. The air grew heavier as anticipation built. The next moment would decide everything. Neither side could afford to hesitate any longer. Xiao Tian's expression shifted, his energy surging as sparks crackled around him, signaling an imminent escalation in the battle. Bei Ming launched himself forward, electricity coursing through his limbs as his speed increased, aiming directly at the formidable beast. The sheer force behind his movement caused the ground to shatter, his body accelerating with explosive energy towards Xiao Tian's position. A deafening impact erupted as lightning clashed, sending shockwaves outward, shaking the entire battlefield and distorting the surrounding air. Bei Ming recoiled from the backlash, his body resisting the overwhelming energy while his gaze remained locked on his opponent. A deep, eerie laughter echoed as an ominous presence loomed over Bei Ming, its voice filled with malice and twisted amusement. Xiao Tian's crimson eyes flickered in the darkness, his form partially hidden by flickering arcs of power coiling around him. Bei Ming clenched his fists, his body tensing as he braced against the lingering force pressing down on his surroundings. Lightning raged across the sky, splitting the clouds as an immense surge of raw energy gathered above the battlefield. The unleashed force exploded downward, causing the very ground to tremble as reality bent under the pressure of clashing energies. The sky burned with golden lightning, illuminating the shattered terrain as destruction spread, reshaping the once intact battlefield. Structures crumbled under the strain of the overwhelming power, debris floating as gravity failed to hold them in place. Rocks plummeted into a deep abyss, the landscape now a chaotic wasteland, devoid of any resemblance to its original state. A single path stretched ahead, footsteps left imprinted in the dust, leading into the unknown beyond the collapsing battleground. Bei Ming steadied his breath, sweat dripping down his face as he pressed forward, determination keeping him moving despite exhaustion. Bei Ming walked through the ruined landscape, his footsteps slow as the weight of exhaustion pressed down on his entire body. His vision blurred as the broken sky above cast an eerie glow over the desolate battlefield, reflecting his uncertain future. A creeping thought surfaced, whispering doubts into his mind as he questioned whether escape from this place was truly possible. The remains of shattered structures stretched endlessly, a grim reminder of the battle's devastation and the overwhelming force unleashed. A sudden sound echoed behind him, shaking the silence as something heavy crashed against the fractured ground with great force. Bei Ming turned, his breath ragged as he stared into the distance, trying to make sense of his unfamiliar surroundings. His limbs trembled as he felt an unnatural shift in the air, something beyond his understanding influencing the space around him. The overwhelming pressure made his knees weak, forcing him to confront the terrifying possibility that his reality was being altered. A distant voice cut through the silence, its presence foreign yet familiar, causing his body to tense with sudden urgency. Bei Ming's eyes widened as his consciousness flickered, his mind struggling to grasp the impossible sensation pulling him towards something unknown. Bei Ming scanned his surroundings, uncertain whether the voice he heard was real or just an illusion caused by exhaustion. His confusion deepened as an unfamiliar presence lingered nearby, its sudden appearance disrupting the eerie silence of the ruined battlefield. A small creature with unusual features emerged, its golden accessories glimmering under the fading light as it observed Bei Ming carefully. The creature's energetic movements contrasted with the devastation around them, its bright expression filled with urgency as it sought immediate attention. Bei Ming narrowed his eyes, struggling to comprehend the strange rabbit before him, its presence adding more uncertainty to his situation. The creature's small frame barely seemed capable of movement, yet its bright eyes gleamed with an intelligence beyond normal understanding. Cautiously, Bei Ming crouched, studying the creature's features as an unusual energy pulsed around them, making the air feel heavier. The rabbit's expression remained determined, its ears twitching as it tried to communicate something far beyond simple survival instincts. Bei Ming pressed his hands against the ground, preparing himself for whatever unexpected event this strange meeting would bring next. Doubt crept into Bei Ming's mind as he considered the creature's request, questioning the intentions behind its sudden appearance. The rabbit's energy flickered, creating a strange aura around it, as if the space itself responded to its very existence. Beiming felt a shift in the surroundings, the air growing dense as unseen forces moved between them, altering reality itself. The rabbit's expression turned urgent, its small body trembling as it pushed itself forward, demanding immediate action before time ran out. Beiming clenched his fists, realizing hesitation would only lead to greater complications, forcing him to make a swift decision. With firm resolve, Beiming reached forward, gripping the rabbit as a deep rumble shook the ground beneath his feet. A surge of energy erupted from the earth, forcing the surrounding landscape to tremble as ancient forces awakened from their slumber. The rabbit's form stiffened, its glowing eyes widening as a powerful force resisted the attempt to pull it free. Beiming planted his feet, summoning every ounce of strength to counteract the overwhelming resistance pushing against his grasp. The battlefield trembled as cracks spread outward, signaling the breaking of a long-sealed force waiting to be unleashed upon the world. Beiming gritted his teeth, struggling to maintain focus as overwhelming energy surged through his body, threatening to break his concentration. The rabbit trembled as pressure intensified, its small form barely able to endure the powerful force pulling against its existence. Beiming's muscles tensed, refusing to release his grip despite the unbearable strain pressing down on him from all directions. A sudden burst of energy erupted from beneath, shattering the ground and sending both of them flying through the air violently. Beiming crashed onto the ground, his vision blurring as the shockwaves sent the rabbit soaring toward the distant horizon. A deafening explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the battlefield, cracking the ground as a blinding light illuminated the sky above. The force of impact created a massive crater, dust swirling as remnants of the unleashed energy settled into the shattered terrain. Smoke cleared, revealing a glowing figure hovering within the chaotic storm, its form radiating an unfamiliar yet powerful presence. Golden light shimmered across the sky as an unknown force began reshaping the space around them, altering the battlefield's reality. The rabbit's once small body started shifting, its shape expanding as an overwhelming presence pulsed from deep within its core. A transformed figure emerged, its body now towering with immense power, radiating confidence as if reborn into a completely new existence. Beiming struggled to process what unfolded before him, his instincts warning him that this being was far different from before. The glowing creature flexed its muscles, its energy pulsating with untamed potential, completely altering the balance of power between them. Beiming narrowed his eyes, uncertain whether this new form would bring salvation or another impossible challenge standing in his way. The radiant being extended its hand, offering assistance, as the battlefield's lingering energy crackled ominously around them. The rabbit crossed its arms, pretending to forget everything, avoiding any responsibility for the situation unfolding between them. Beiming narrowed his eyes, sensing a contradiction in its words, realizing there might be an important clue hidden in its response. The rabbit became serious, explaining the impossibility of leaving, yet implying someone had broken through the boundary in ancient times. Beiming considered the meaning behind those words, understanding that if it happened once, then it might be possible again. The rabbit's expression changed as it revealed admiration for the only being who had ever managed to escape from this place. The golden figure of a warrior appeared in the rabbit's mind, radiating divine strength, his name honored across the three realms. Beiming stared at the rabbit's dreamy expression, baffled by its sudden admiration for the legendary being who once left. The atmosphere shifted as the rabbit's energy flared, its emotions intensifying, recalling the moment when the warrior last walked this land. Beiming's instincts screamed as he sensed an incoming attack, his body reacting immediately to the rabbit's sudden surge of energy. A powerful blast erupted from nowhere, surrounding Beiming in a glowing force that sent him flying before he could react. The rabbit unleashed a deafening cry, gathering an immense ball of energy between its hands, releasing it with unstoppable force. The glowing sphere expanded rapidly, colliding with the ground, creating a massive explosion that cracked the very foundation beneath them. Beiming shielded himself as debris scattered, his mind racing to process why the rabbit had suddenly turned so aggressive. The battlefield trembled as the energy waves spread, its force reshaping the surroundings while sparks of lingering power danced in the air. Beiming stumbled back, his expression darkening as he prepared to retaliate, realizing the situation had escalated beyond simple misunderstandings. Beiming's eyes widened as an intense energy surged through the air, making his body tense with an overwhelming sense of power. The rabbit stood firm, its fur illuminated by the golden glow as it revealed a secret long hidden within this desolate place. A massive blade, pulsing with ancient energy, emerged from the cracked earth, its aura radiating dominance as flames danced around it. Beiming examined the ancient sword, doubting its power as its worn appearance made it seem no different from ordinary rusted metal. The rabbit remained confident, hinting that only those capable of shattering space itself could awaken the weapon's true potential. Energy crackled around Bei Ming as he questioned whether the blade held any real power or was simply a legendary relic. A heavy force surrounded the sword, revealing its deep history of countless battles against powerful demons that once ruled the land. Flames erupted from the ground, engulfing the sword as its dormant energy responded to the presence of an awakened warrior. The rabbit warned Bei Ming not to underestimate the weapon, explaining how it would only reveal its power to a true wielder. Bei Ming ignored the warning, gripping the sword firmly as he pulled it from the ground, feeling an unexpected resistance in his arms. The rabbit's expression changed as it witnessed the impossible, realizing Bei Ming had succeeded where many powerful beings had previously failed. A blinding light burst from the sword, causing cracks to spread across the ground as the battlefield trembled under its energy. Bei Ming held the sword high, but an unsettling realization crept in as he sensed something still sealed within its core. Bei Ming studied the sword carefully, still unable to sense its power despite the overwhelming energy that radiated from the battlefield. Frustration built within him as he raised the weapon, expecting an immediate response that never came, leaving him momentarily confused. The rabbit smirked, hinting that power alone was not enough to awaken the sword, causing Bei Ming to rethink his approach. Suddenly, the sword rumbled, flames igniting along its edge as the air distorted around it, revealing its true nature. A massive surge of energy erupted from the weapon, sending a shockwave through the battlefield as the awakening finally began. The glowing energy surged through Bei Ming's body as he grasped the sword. A strange power awakened, resonating with his very soul. Sparks crackled around him as memories surfaced. The blade pulsed in response, as if recognizing him after a long separation. Bei Ming knelt, gripping the sword tightly. The overwhelming energy pushed against him, testing his resolve in ways he had never imagined. The beastly figure observed with a knowing gaze. A challenge lay ahead, requiring more than mere strength to overcome. Bei Ming focused, lifting the blade towards his chest. The energy within the weapon called for acceptance, demanding he become one with it. As the sword's energy engulfed Bei Ming, searing pain spread through his body. His vision blurred and his breathing grew unsteady. A sudden vibration shook the ground. The immense power of the sword destabilized the area, sending waves of energy outward. Unable to hold it back, Bei Ming released the sword. It shot forward, glowing brilliantly as it broke free from his grasp. The sword ascended, splitting the sky with its radiance. The beastly figure stepped back, watching the scene with cautious interest. A sigil formed above, radiating intense energy. Bei Ming's mind raced as he tried to comprehend the mysterious force at work. The sword floated within the glowing formation, spinning rapidly. Bei Ming and the beast watched, uncertain of what would happen next. The energy grew heavier, pressing against them. The surrounding atmosphere twisted, reacting to the sword's unpredictable nature. Bei Ming braced himself, sensing the power intensify. His instincts screamed danger, yet something within urged him to remain still. Just as the energy reached its peak, the sword suddenly halted. A moment of silence followed, leaving only anticipation. Bei Ming stared at his arm. The sword's energy pulsed within him now, changing something fundamental. He had become part of it. The mysterious sigil spun in the air, radiating energy. Bei Ming felt an overwhelming force pulling his attention toward the floating sword. The sword hovered before him, glowing intensely. Bei Ming's heartbeat quickened as he recognized the immense power resonating from the blade. He reached forward, hesitating briefly. The weapon pulsed as if responding to him, waiting for his acceptance before fully revealing its strength. Dark cracks spread across his hand as the sword's energy coursed through him. Bei Ming clenched his fist, embracing the transformation. Flames erupted around him as the sword settled in his grasp. The ground trembled beneath his feet, signaling something had awakened. Sparks of energy crackled across the battlefield. Bei Ming tightened his grip, sensing an incoming shift as the sky darkened overhead. The beastly figure observed him with curiosity. Bei Ming prepared himself, knowing that the sword had chosen him for something greater. A sudden pull from below sent a wave of instability. Bei Ming's instincts flared as he braced against the sudden shift. Light and energy intertwined, creating a vortex. The sword's power surged, drawing everything toward it while reshaping the battlefield itself. Bei Ming felt his body lift into the air. The unknown force beckoned him forward, merging his fate with the weapon. A powerful force erupted, sending shockwaves through the ground. Bei Ming struggled against the energy pulling him deeper into the void. Jagged roots shot upward, wrapping around his legs. The unnatural force attempted to drag him back, resisting his ascension forward. His gaze locked onto the swirling portal ahead. The path was unstable, yet his instincts told him this was the only way. Sparks illuminated the battlefield as his grip tightened. The sword pulsed in response, urging him to embrace its full destructive power. An unseen presence watched from afar. Red eyes gleamed through the darkness, observing Bei Ming as he stepped toward his uncertain fate. A chilling sensation spread through the air as an unknown force disrupted everything. Bei Ming sensed an unsettling shift in energy. A sudden force erupted from the swirling darkness. Crimson energy pulsed violently, twisting and distorting everything caught in its path. The overwhelming power surged outward, unstable and uncontrollable. The air thickened as the malevolent presence intensified, spreading like an unstoppable storm. A violent reaction exploded from within, causing a rupture of energy. The force overwhelmed everything, breaking free into the surroundings. Bei Ming watched as dark energy twisted wildly. The unsettling force refused to fade, leaving behind an ominous and terrifying presence. The sword radiated a golden light, clashing against the sinister energy. A powerful struggle between opposing forces erupted before them. The weapon trembled in the air as its divine power resisted corruption. Bei Ming braced himself, sensing the battle intensify. The energy lashed out, refusing to submit. It swirled aggressively, creating unstable ripples that threatened to consume everything around it. Sparks crackled through the air as golden light struggled against the spreading darkness. The balance between power and destruction reached its limit. Bei Ming realized escape was impossible. The battle between light and darkness unfolded before him, shaping the fate of everything. A massive force hurled them away as the battlefield trembled. Bei Ming barely regained balance, witnessing the unfolding chaos. The sky cracked apart as the monstrous energy surged forward. Xiao Qian roared in defiance, refusing to submit to fate. Bei Ming landed roughly, his breath unsteady. He scanned the surroundings, searching for answers amid the lingering destruction. The ground trembled as Xiao Qian collapsed. Bei Ming approached cautiously, sensing the remnants of energy fading from its body. He forced a grin despite exhaustion. The weight of battle lingered, yet his journey had only just begun. Bei Ming staggered as exhaustion overcame him. His vision blurred while his body collapsed forward, unable to resist the overwhelming fatigue. The sudden impact was caught by Muru Shui. Cold yet gentle hands steadied his falling body as energy drained from him. His breathing slowed, and his consciousness faded. His surroundings felt distant, yet warmth lingered from Muru Shui supporting his weakened form. Bei Ming's body relaxed completely as exhaustion claimed him. His mind drifted elsewhere, leaving behind only the sound of steady breathing. Distant figures floated in the night sky. Their presence remained unknown to Bei Ming, yet the encounter had already changed fate. Morning light illuminated the academy grounds as students gathered. Bei Ming walked silently, his thoughts consumed by the events of the night. He moved through the quiet streets, accompanied by Xiao Tian. The city's ordinary appearance contrasted with the chaos lingering in his mind. Xiao Tian followed closely, his eyes sharp. The wolf sensed something within Bei Ming, an unfamiliar energy growing stronger with each step. Memories resurfaced, reminding Xiao Tian of an ancient battle. The lingering power stirred something within him, whispering secrets long forgotten. A mysterious symbol flickered in Xiao Tian's mind. It held meaning beyond time, connecting the past with the uncertain present ahead. Bei Ming leaned against a wall, exhaustion settling in. The weight of his experiences pressed heavily, leaving questions without answers. Xiao Tian studied Bei Ming carefully. The changes in his energy were undeniable, revealing a power neither of them fully understood. Bei Ming sighed, trying to process everything. His body felt different, as if something within him had shifted beyond his control. The air trembled as Xiao Tian sensed something awakening. A distortion formed, warping the space around them in an unnatural pulse. Dark energy erupted, twisting reality. Xiao Tian reacted instantly, recognizing the presence of an ancient force threatening to break free again. Bei Ming clenched his fist as energy surged through him. His instincts screamed, warning him of the unseen force pressing forward. Xiao Tian braced himself as the surrounding shadows twisted unnaturally. The remnants of the past resurfaced, calling out for recognition. An overwhelming presence loomed, sending waves of power crashing outward. The wolf's fur bristled as his memories aligned with the current danger. The darkness deepened, revealing sinister figures lurking beyond sight. Their existence defied reality, bound to an ancient power now reawakened. Xiao Tian's eyes glowed with fierce determination. The battle was not over, and the fate of the world rested in uncertainty. Bei Ming narrowed his eyes, analyzing the situation carefully. The strange technique he witnessed opened new possibilities he had never considered. Xiao Tian remained silent, sensing the deepening complexity of the power at play. Even with strength, escape from such forces was difficult. Bei Ming recalled his last encounter with overwhelming energy. The struggle against the unknown had pushed him beyond his previous limits. If controlled correctly, this force could be harnessed. However, the risk of corruption remained, making the power as dangerous as beneficial. Xiao Tian's sharp gaze locked onto Bei Ming. Instinct warned him that something deeper was influencing the path unfolding before them. Bei Ming scanned his surroundings, noting an unusual atmosphere. Something was off, but he couldn't place what was truly bothering him. Xiao Tian's ears twitched as he detected a faint presence. The strange energy felt eerily familiar, but its origin remained unclear. Ahead, Yu Er stood with a calm expression. Her presence was unexpected, and her gaze suggested she knew more than she revealed. Bei Ming approached with caution, maintaining his composure. The conversation ahead carried an air of familiarity, yet uncertainty still clouded his mind. A sudden realization struck him as he processed Yu Er's words. He'd overlooked something crucial, and the truth was unsettling. Bei Ming walked forward, his thoughts racing. The puzzle before him was incomplete, yet every answer led to more unanswered questions. Xiao Tian followed closely, remaining alert. His instincts told him danger was still present, despite the seemingly peaceful surroundings ahead. As they passed through the academy grounds, something shifted. The air thickened, and an unseen force pulsed beneath the surface. Bei Ming stopped, turning toward the source of the disturbance. He could still sense lingering traces of something unnatural waiting nearby. His gaze sharpened, questioning whether his mind was playing tricks on him. The presence remained, leaving behind an unsettling feeling. A sudden screech of tires echoed as luxury cars halted. Bei Ming and Yue Er turned, sensing an unwelcome presence approaching. A confident figure emerged, surrounded by admirers. His smirk carried arrogance, a sign of someone used to standing above others. Yue Er remained unfazed, her gaze sharp. The presence before them belonged to someone who thrived on control and influence. Whispers spread through the crowd, acknowledging his status. The aura he carried made others wary, yet Bei Ming remained unimpressed. Recognition flickered in his eyes as he studied Bei Ming. A past encounter had already marked their paths for another confrontation. A group of students gathered, their expressions filled with amusement. They assessed the situation, searching for an opportunity to assert dominance. One student smirked confidently, observing Yue Er. Her reputation preceded her, making her a person many sought to challenge or impress. Today, the sky is very bright at a famous school. Plus, birds are flying in the sky. Bei Ming noticed the approaching figures. Their presence carried tension, yet he remained unfazed, prepared for whatever came his way. Bei Ming walked alongside Yue Er, sensing an unusual presence. A lingering thought clouded his mind, making him feel slightly uneasy. A confident figure approached with a smirk. His movements were calculated, as if he had already planned the next step carefully. Yue Er remained composed, her expression unreadable. She recognized the energy around them, sensing an intention beyond what was immediately visible. Bei Ming kept his guard up. His instincts screamed that something was not right, though he could not pinpoint the reason. The tension thickened, and Bei Ming's eyes sharpened. His awareness heightened as he noticed a shift in the surrounding atmosphere. Muru Shui entered the scene, her presence unmistakable. The air around her carried authority, making those nearby hesitate for a moment. The unexpected shift in attention unsettled the gathered students. Some whispered among themselves, uncertain how the situation would unfold next. Yue Er observed Muru Shui carefully. The expression in her eyes showed recognition, yet something remained uncertain between them. Bei Ming maintained his composure, gauging Muru Shui's presence. He felt no immediate hostility but understood that the situation was delicate. A moment of silence passed as their gazes locked. A deeper understanding existed between them, yet words remained unspoken. Muru Shui's sharp eyes conveyed something unspoken. Yue Er felt a strange unease, as if caught in a moment beyond control. Bei Ming noticed the tension and remained observant. His focus never wavered, reading every subtle movement between the two women. A flicker of doubt crossed Yure's mind. She questioned the situation, sensing something was amiss beyond surface appearances. The surroundings felt heavier as unseen forces stirred. Bei Ming prepared himself, knowing that the situation might escalate at any moment. Muru Shui's expression softened, but uncertainty lingered. Bei Ming knew that this encounter would not be the last between them. Yue Er clenched her fists while coughing as her thoughts raced, trying to make sense of the situation unfolding around her. Muru Shui stood firm, her gaze unwavering as she delivered her message, leaving Yue Er uncertain about the real meaning behind it. A sudden shift in her expression revealed concern as Yue Er turned, her mind racing with endless possibilities and unspoken questions. Muru Shui walked away without hesitation, while Yue Er stood frozen, watching her departure as uncertainty filled the air between them. Yue Er stared ahead, lost in thought, her emotions clouded by unanswered questions that led to even more confusion about everything. Bei Ming stood among the crowd, sensing the murmurs surrounding him. His reputation was questioned, yet his focus remained unwavering on the scene. Muru Shu emerged from the water, her silver hair glistening under the sun. Her presence commanded attention, leaving everyone breathless. She stretched, water droplets sliding down her skin. The contrast between elegance and confidence made her the center of admiration. She leaned back, resting at the pool's edge. Her expression remained unreadable, yet her gaze seemed to seek something beyond the surface. The crowd reacted with excitement, some overwhelmed by admiration. Bei Ming remained still, his thoughts clouded by uncertainty about the unexpected situation unfolding. A commotion stirred near the entrance. Some students whispered, while others laughed, their attention diverted from the poolside drama. A senior smirked, making remarks about the ongoing spectacle. His words carried arrogance, fueling the tension already present in the air. Bei Ming adjusted his backpack, feeling an uneasy presence behind him. He turned, only to meet a familiar yet unsettling gaze. Yue Er smiled warmly, placing a hand on his shoulder. Her sudden appearance complicated the atmosphere surrounding him. Another student intervened, eyes sharp with determination. A warning lingered in the air, hinting at unseen consequences beneath innocent school interactions. Bei Ming felt a strange sensation creeping in. His heartbeat quickened as confusion settled deep, making him question the reality before him. The school clock tower loomed in the distance, standing as a silent witness to the brewing uncertainty he struggled to comprehend. He walked alone toward the poolside, expecting to find Muru Shue there. The place was empty, its silence amplifying his unease. His eyes darted around, searching for any trace of her presence. The pool's still water reflected the void left behind. Doubt crept into his mind. He wondered if past events influenced the present, or if something beyond logic played a role. The water darkened, shifting unnaturally as an ominous presence emerged. Bei Ming stepped back, sensing something far beyond his understanding. Xiao Tian growled beside Bei Ming, its aura pulsating with raw energy. The air grew heavy as danger surrounded them. Xiao Tian's stance remained protective, watching the dark presence carefully. Bei Ming steadied himself, feeling the intensity of the force building. Muru Shue surfaced gracefully, unaware of the disturbance. Her presence radiated tranquility, a stark contrast to the lurking darkness nearby. She walked onto the shore, her piercing gaze scanning the surroundings. Bei Ming remained still, contemplating the events unfolding before him. Muru Shue observed the lingering energy, her sharp instincts sensing something unnatural. Xiao Tian's fur bristled as faint traces of darkness remained. Wrapping herself in a towel, Muru Shue stepped closer. The aura surrounding Bei Ming hinted at a power far beyond ordinary. The remnants of dark magic swirled faintly before vanishing. Bei Ming clenched his fists, feeling the weight of unseen threats. He wiped his face, concealing unease. Muru Shue's calm demeanor masked her thoughts, but her eyes held curiosity and understanding. Placing a drink on the table, Muru Shue exhaled. Training involved more than strength, requiring mastery over natural elements. Bei Ming nodded, absorbing every detail. Xiao Tian remained alert, its gaze fixed on the fading traces of energy. Muru Shue's expression softened slightly. Though the disturbance was gone, uncertainty remained. She sensed hidden forces shifting beyond immediate reach. Bei Ming turned, tension creeping in. Yue Er stood frozen, dark energy swirling behind her. The moment felt eerily unnatural. Shadows coiled around Yue Er, distorting reality. Bei Ming's instincts screamed danger. The remnants of the curse still held influence. Muru Shue approached confidently. She understood the weight of the moment. Trust and cooperation would determine their survival in the battles ahead. Muru Shue's sharp gaze studied Bei Ming. Xiao Tian remained cautious, sensing lingering energy. A choice would determine their uncertain path ahead. Bei Ming hesitated, weighing his options carefully. Xiao Tian remained firm, sensing the potential benefits of forming an alliance. Xiao Tian's instincts pushed for action. The opportunity to grow stronger presented itself, but hesitation lingered in Bei Ming's thoughts. Muru Shue's presence added pressure. She observed closely, waiting for a decision while maintaining her composed and unreadable expression. Bei Ming analyzed his circumstances. The situation aligned with his personal goals, making the alliance seem more beneficial than he initially believed. Muru Shue's words carried weight. Bei Ming faced the realization that avoiding this path might lead to greater challenges ahead. Muru Shue's confidence remained unshaken. She understood power dynamics, ensuring the proposal aligned with both logic and strategic advantage. Xiao Tian's persistence did not waver. The wolf recognized Muru Shue's strength and the rare chance to secure a strong ally. Bei Ming observed the conversation unfold. His focus shifted to the underlying motives hidden beneath each carefully chosen word. Xiao Tian's excitement showed. His mind calculated the potential growth that could result from seizing this moment without hesitation. Bei Ming finally considered the broader implications. The offer provided a solution, but required commitment beyond what he initially anticipated. Muru Shue's belief in purpose stood firm. Her mission extended beyond self-interest, shaping the world through controlled balance and order. Bei Ming's thoughts raced. The conversation revealed deeper truths about their world, forcing him to reconsider his understanding of power. Xiao Tian sensed the shift. His instincts told him a significant decision approached, marking a new stage in their journey. Bei Ming clenched his fists, feeling his blood stir. The realization of his role within this unfolding fate weighed heavily. The air tensed. Bei Ming's mind cleared, acknowledging that alliances carried responsibility. A choice had to be made without hesitation. Bei Ming hesitated, weighing the decision carefully. Muru Shue's gaze remained steady, waiting for his response with quiet determination. The moment stretched between them. Xiao Tian observed. sensing the weight of the unspoken choice hanging in the air. Bei Ming exhaled, his decision firm. Xiao Tian reacted with surprise, sensing something unusual about his master's sudden change in demeanor. Bei Ming spoke with clarity, revealing his stance. Xiao Tian remained alert, aware of the deeper implications hidden beneath his words. Determination burned in Bei Ming's eyes. He acknowledged the reality of his situation, accepting the path he had chosen. Murushu remained composed, her expression unreadable. Bei Ming turned away, distancing himself from the lingering tension between them. He reflected on past events, recognizing the burden of power. The choices he made carried consequences far beyond personal desires. A faint glow surrounded him, remnants of an unseen force lingering in the air. His mind remained troubled by past encounters. Memories resurfaced, reminding him of the changes he endured. Each moment built upon his growing understanding of the reality he faced. Bei Ming looked ahead. He understood the risks involved, but the responsibility weighing on him demanded unwavering focus and resolve. Bei Ming clenched his fists, feeling an unshakable resolve settle in. His mission was his alone, a battle only he understood. Murushu remained distant, watching as he chose his path. The atmosphere between them held an unspoken acknowledgement of change. A new presence emerged. Blue-haired eyes locked onto Bei Ming, challenging his decision with a silent yet forceful intensity. Her words carried a warning. Bei Ming understood the implications, realizing that some fates could not be avoided, no matter the effort. His gaze darkened, sensing something stirring. The aura surrounding him reacted, hinting at a force that had yet to fully awaken. Xiao Tian growled, his instincts warning him of unseen forces. Murushu watched, questioning whether her judgment had been mistaken. The lingering energy swirled around Murushu. She reevaluated her expectations, sensing something deeper behind Bei Ming's resolute stance. A mysterious presence surrounded her, flickering between reality and illusion. The weight of unseen forces pressed against her growing suspicions. Nearby bushes rustled, breaking the tense silence. Xiao Tian turned sharply, ears alert, sensing an unexpected presence moving towards them. Bei Ming turned, startled by a familiar figure. The dean stood before him, his expression unreadable, carrying an unknown purpose. The dean's presence cast an imposing weight over the atmosphere. His expression carried authority, leaving Bei Ming wary of his intent. Bei Ming hesitated, uncertain of how to respond. The moment stretched, tension thick between them as the silence grew unbearable. Xiao Tian flicked his tail impatiently, sensing the unease. He knew the situation carried more weight than what was being said. A sudden outburst shattered the calm. Bei Ming stiffened, caught off guard as accusations swirled around him with growing intensity. The dean's decision came swiftly. Bei Ming listened, the words final, leaving him with no choice but to accept the outcome. Bei Ming clenched his fists, frustration settling deep. Xiao Tian observed, questioning why his master still cared about trivial human matters. Thoughts clashed within Bei Ming's mind. The weight of responsibility pressed against him, forcing him to confront his uncertain fate. Xiao Tian pondered, considering the simplest solution. Leaving this place would eliminate unnecessary troubles, yet he knew Bei Ming's resolve. Bei Ming took a deep breath, preparing to defend himself. His reasons were clear, yet the accusations refused to fade. An announcement echoed through the area, calling for attention. Bei Ming lifted his head, sensing the shift in the unfolding events. The dean's smirk widened, satisfaction clear in his expression. A plan set in motion, aiming to remove Bei Ming permanently. The assembly hall buzzed with tension. Students watched as the principal took the stage, preparing to address the gathered audience formally. The principal's voice echoed, announcing an official inquiry. Bei Ming listened carefully, sensing hidden motives behind the carefully chosen words. A sharp gaze locked onto Bei Ming. The moment their eyes met, an unspoken challenge passed between them. Conversations stirred among students. The atmosphere grew heavy with speculation as the principal continued detailing the recent incident's supposed resolution. The principal's tone hardened. Promises of preventing future disruptions masked the reality of deeper conflicts yet to be fully revealed. A formal apology followed, though sincerity felt absent. Bei Ming watched, knowing this speech was another calculated move. The principal's expression remained composed, concealing ulterior motives. A document rested in his hands, holding a decision that would change everything. Bei Ming's name echoed through the hall. His muscles tensed as all eyes shifted toward him, anticipation thick in the air. The withdrawal notice sent a shockwave through the crowd. Bei Ming's expression darkened, realization dawning about the unfolding scheme. His heart pounded. He understood now, this was no simple evaluation, but an orchestrated attempt to remove him permanently. Bei Ming stepped forward, facing the decision laid before him. Xiao Tian stood nearby, sensing the rising hostility in the hall. The dean smirked, savoring the moment. This was the final move in his long-standing efforts to see Bei Ming expelled. Whispers filled the crowd as accusations surfaced. The official justification pointed to Bei Ming's prolonged absences and academic standing. His peers reacted, their expressions mixed between shock and disbelief. The reality of the situation settled over the entire hall. The verdict hung in the air. Bei Ming clenched his fists, knowing this battle extended beyond mere academic consequences. The grand hall buzzed with voices as students eagerly waited for the final decision that would determine Bei Ming's fate. Some students whispered with excitement, watching closely, hoping that their once powerful rival would finally be removed from the academy. A few smirked, convinced that Bei Ming's presence was nothing but a hindrance and his departure was long overdue. Others debated his past actions, remembering how he had saved many lives, questioning if expelling him was truly justified. The administration remained firm, prioritizing the academy's reputation, disregarding those who still valued Bei Ming's contributions. Bei Ming clenched his fists, his heart heavy with frustration, realizing that there was no way to reverse the decision. Yu watched from across the hall, concern flickering in her eyes, yet powerless to stop what was happening. Beside Bei Ming, Xiao Tian remained still, his crimson eyes reflecting the weight of the betrayal surrounding them. The White Wolf could sense Bei Ming's turmoil, yet his stance remained steady, refusing to let the moment break them. Bei Ming inhaled sharply, realizing that even if the academy abandoned him, his journey was far from over. The hall fell silent as the principal stepped forward, holding a document that could determine Bei Ming's ultimate fate. A sudden shift in the atmosphere sent a wave of tension across the students, breaking their sense of certainty. Yue's eyes widened as an unexpected event unfolded, causing even Bei Ming to momentarily hesitate. The principal's gaze was unreadable as he prepared to announce a decision that could change everything. No matter the verdict, Bei Ming stood firm, knowing that his path would continue, with or without the academy. The principal addressed the crowd, recounting Bei Ming's heroic actions that had once protected the academy from a dangerous disaster. Bei Ming listened silently, his mind racing as he tried to grasp the sudden shift in the situation before him. The principal acknowledged Bei Ming's past achievements, emphasizing the importance of courage and selflessness over academic performance and institutional expectations. Shock rippled through the hall as the decision was announced, confirming that Bei Ming would not be expelled after all. The unexpected verdict caused an uproar, leaving students stunned as the academy declared its intention to officially reinstate Bei Ming. The dean clenched his fists, unable to accept that Bei Ming had managed to overturn what seemed like a definite decision. Yue covered her mouth, relief washing over her as she realized Bei Ming's place in the academy was now secure. The principal stood firm, calling for recognition of Bei Ming's bravery, encouraging the audience to show their appreciation for his efforts. The entire hall erupted into applause, students rising to their feet as the atmosphere shifted from tension to celebration. Some students murmured in disbelief, struggling to process the sudden reversal of what had initially seemed like an inevitable expulsion. Xiao Tian stood beside Bei Ming, watching as the energy in the room changed, sensing the lingering emotions still present. Yue smiled, her expression softening as she took in the sight of Bei Ming standing victorious despite overwhelming odds. The principal prepared to continue, announcing the next steps, ensuring that Bei Ming's reinstatement would be acknowledged in an official ceremony. Murushui stepped forward, holding a bouquet, ready to present an honorary gesture to Bei Ming in front of the audience. Yue's expression darkened as she noticed Murushui approaching, her feelings shifting as an unexpected sense of unease crept in. Murushui approached Bei Ming, presenting the bouquet while Xiao Tian sniffed cautiously, sensing an unusual scent from the flowers. She maintained a neutral expression, her demeanor unreadable, making it difficult to determine her true intentions behind this sudden gesture. Bei Ming accepted the bouquet with a polite smile, his expression masking any suspicions he might have had about the situation. Murushui suddenly pulled back with a sharp motion, leaving Bei Ming momentarily surprised by her unexpected reaction. Xiao Tian observed silently as Murushui walked away, her flowing hair trailing behind while an unspoken tension lingered between them. Bei Ming watched Murushui leave, his thoughts filled with uncertainty regarding her actions and their potential hidden meanings. He sighed, contemplating whether her frustration stemmed from something deeper than a mere rejection or misunderstanding between them. Xiao Tian followed closely as Bei Ming stepped forward, his presence a reminder of the bonds he had forged. A familiar figure stood waiting, extending a reassuring hand, offering support when words were not enough to express gratitude. His teacher acknowledged his achievements, recognizing the struggles that had shaped him into someone stronger than before. Bei Ming listened attentively as his teacher mentioned future expectations, reminding him that his journey within the academy was far from over. He nodded in response, understanding that challenges still awaited despite his recent success in avoiding expulsion from the academy. Xiao Tian glanced toward them, sensing an unseen force shifting around, an ominous energy lingering beneath the surface. His teacher turned away, concealing something within her composed expression, an unreadable emotion hidden beneath her calm demeanor. A dark aura flickered subtly, hinting at an unknown intent yet to be revealed in the unfolding events ahead. A dark aura surrounded the teacher, twisting unnaturally as an ominous energy filled the room, causing a heavy sense of unease. Bei Ming stood firm, watching the growing force, realizing that something deeper had been hidden beneath the surface all along. Xiao Tian growled lowly, his instincts warning of the overwhelming power that had now fully manifested before them. The realization struck that the situation at the academy was far from resolved, with unseen forces still working behind the scenes. Determined, Bei Ming refused to back down, silently vowing to protect those important to him, no matter the cost. Xiao Tian remained silent as they walked outside, his mind still processing the events that had just unfolded inside the academy. The rustling of leaves filled the air, the atmosphere shifting as if the world itself carried an unspoken message. Bei Ming contemplated the implications of everything that had transpired, wondering if there was more to his teacher's behavior than expected. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind, uncertain if the power displayed earlier was entirely a result of external influences. Pushing aside hesitation, he resolved to uncover the truth, unwilling to let uncertainties dictate his actions moving forward. Xiao Tian's red eyes gleamed mischievously, as if sensing an opportunity amidst the uncertainty lingering around Bei Ming's thoughts. Bei Ming questioned the nature of the strange energy, trying to understand whether it could be controlled or completely removed. Confidence flickered in Xiao Tian's expression, his demeanor shifting as he considered a possible solution to the problem at hand. Bei Ming's gaze sharpened, his instincts warning him to remain cautious despite the growing temptation of an immediate resolution. The path ahead remained uncertain, but the resolve in his eyes showed that he would not be easily swayed. Bei Ming sat, flames flickering around him, feeling the weight of his thoughts as Xiao Tian observed his conflicted expression carefully. Xiao Tian tilted his head, puzzled by Bei Ming's doubts. Sensing an internal struggle that had yet to be resolved, Bei Ming clenched his fists, recalling past failures, questioning whether his current power would be enough to overcome future threats. Xiao Tian's red eyes narrowed, remembering the demonic energy absorbed earlier. Considering the potential it held if used correctly, Bei Ming focused, wondering if this energy could awaken something greater, something capable of pushing him beyond his current limits. Xiao Tian's tail swayed as he acknowledged the possibility, explaining that demon power could grant more than just enhanced physical abilities. Bei Ming's expression hardened, realizing that mastering such energy meant accepting both its strength and the risks it carried. Xiao Tian's confidence remained unwavering, knowing that pressure would force Bei Ming to reach beyond his boundaries, no matter the consequences. Bei Ming clenched his jaw, determined to prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing hesitation would only weaken him. Xiao Tian grinned, pleased that the path forward had been set, ready to push Bei Ming toward his untapped potential. Bei Ming continued walking, his thoughts racing as he considered how his power might develop in the coming days. The sight of his teacher ahead interrupted his focus, drawing his attention back to the academy and its hidden struggles. Inside the dimly lit room, an unfamiliar conversation unfolded, revealing hidden emotions that had long remained concealed. Bei Ming's eyes widened as he saw through the closed door, recognizing an ability within himself that had gone unnoticed. Xiao Tian's gaze sharpened, confirming that Bei Ming had not only absorbed demon energy, but also inherited an unexpected lineage. Bei Ming stood confidently, feeling a rush of excitement as he realized the potential of absorbing demonic energy for future growth. Xiao Tian observed cautiously, realizing that the unexpected turn of events had led to something beyond his initial calculations. A sudden interruption shifted the mood, as an encounter brought unexpected tension between individuals within the academy's halls. The teacher's composed expression faltered slightly, her stance firm as she attempted to maintain control over the escalating situation. A larger figure loomed over the scene, his presence adding weight to the already strained atmosphere in the hallway. The atmosphere grew tense as the instructor leaned closer, his overconfidence creating an uncomfortable situation within the academy's quiet corridors. Dark energy filled the room, twisting wildly as an ominous force engulfed the space, forcing everyone to react instantly. The instructor coughed, his confidence shaken as he realized the unexpected presence of an uncontrollable power emerging. Bei Ming stood firm, his eyes locked on the swirling energy, recognizing its familiar yet dangerous nature. Xiao Tian analyzed the situation, realizing that Bei Ming's arrival had unintentionally shifted the focus of the chaotic power. Bei Ming exhaled, realizing the situation had escalated beyond expectations, forcing him to remain alert for any sudden developments. The instructor regained composure, his expression darkening as he prepared to respond to the disruption caused by Bei Ming's interference. Bei Ming stood his ground, unfazed by the instructor's hostility, prepared to confront whatever conflict was about to unfold. The room remained tense, the shadows creeping along the walls, as Xiao Tian observed the scene carefully. The teacher finally addressed the situation, acknowledging Bei Ming's actions while expressing both gratitude and uncertainty. Bei Ming offered reassurance, knowing that there was still much to uncover regarding the events unfolding within the academy. Bei Ming stood before the teacher, realizing the weight of the moment as an unsettling silence filled the space. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, signaling an unseen shift in the atmosphere beyond the academy walls. The teacher's expression softened, her gaze lingering on Bei Ming as she hesitated to speak. The question lingered in the air, creating an unexpected tension that neither of them had anticipated. Xiao Tian's eyes widened, unable to comprehend the strange turn of events taking place before him. Bei Ming adjusted his tie, trying to stay composed as the teacher observed him, expecting a response that carried more weight than intended. A sudden impact echoed as a fist struck, snapping Bei Ming out of his thoughts, forcing him to reassess the moment. He clenched his jaw, steadying himself while realizing the responsibility placed upon him required more than just words or fleeting determination. The teacher's approving smile reassured him, showing confidence in his abilities as if she had no doubts about his capability to protect. Bei Ming let out a nervous laugh, scratching his head as he accepted the challenge ahead, knowing it would not be easy. Xiao Tian observed Bei Ming closely, its crimson eyes filled with amusement as it reacted dramatically to his earlier statement of confidence. Bei Ming remained unreadable as Xiao Tian's aura flickered, revealing a strength far beyond what belonged in this seemingly ordinary setting. A shift in energy sent a ripple through the air, stirring a presence that did not belong within the teacher's surroundings. Xiao Tian sniffed the air, its instincts sharpening as it sensed an unusual presence lingering near the teacher, something beyond normal perception. Bei Ming hesitated before stepping forward, meeting the teacher's gaze as she motioned for him to sit, signaling a deeper conversation ahead. The teacher spoke firmly, explaining the challenges ahead, emphasizing that graduating was already difficult, let alone aiming for a prestigious university. Bei Ming listened, his mind racing as he considered the weight of responsibility placed upon him and the expectations he now carried. Determination sparked in his eyes as he accepted the challenge, knowing he had no choice but to work harder than before. The school building stood tall under the bright sky, a silent reminder of the path ahead and the countless struggles within. Yu Er stood waiting near the entrance, her gaze fixed ahead, sensing that something had changed in Bei Ming's resolve today. Yu Er waved excitedly, her backpack bouncing slightly as she hurried forward, catching sight of Bei Ming walking ahead with determination. She smiled while observing a student's unexpected talent, unaware that Bei Ming's thoughts were elsewhere. Weighed down by an urgent realization, Bei Ming clenched his fist as unease grew stronger, sensing that the mysterious presence surrounding the teacher could no longer be ignored. Yu Er's voice grew sharper as she noticed Bei Ming lost in thought, unaware of her presence and completely absorbed in concern. Bei Ming flinched as Yu Er's frustration erupted, her expression demanding an explanation while he struggled to focus on the present moment. Bei Ming walked past the academy gates, forcing a casual smile. He masked his unease, pretending everything was fine despite his thoughts. The streets were filled with disciples heading home. Suddenly, he spotted a familiar figure standing near the academy entrance, catching his attention. He hesitated for a moment, recognizing a teacher in the distance. A strange feeling stirred within him, filling him with suspicion. Yu Er walked beside him, unaware of his concern. Bei Ming gave her a reassuring nod before deciding to investigate the situation alone. His gaze followed a sleek car pulling away. Determined to uncover the truth, he adjusted his bag and started following quietly. Yu Er called after Bei Ming, sensing something was wrong. She stopped, watching as he walked further ahead, ignoring her presence. Suspicion filled her mind as she tightened her grip on her bag. She needed answers, or she would regret it later. Bei Ming stopped suddenly as a yellow car screeched to a halt before him, blocking his way with an aggressive presence. A teacher with short hair and glasses struggled against a firm grip, her expression tense as she desperately tried to resist. The man's grip tightened, his darkened gaze piercing through her. His voice carried a quiet threat, forcing her into silence. The teacher's lips trembled as she questioned his actions. She struggled, realizing just how much power he held over her situation. The man smirked, amusement flashing in his eyes. He leaned closer, confident that she had no true means of escape. He dismissed her protests, his tone filled with arrogance. He had control, and he intended to keep it that way. His fingers wrapped firmly around her wrist, pulling her forward. Her heartbeat quickened as the reality of her helplessness sank in. He chuckled, entertained by her resistance. Despite her words, he could sense the fear hidden behind her tense, unsteady composure. The man stood confidently, his smug expression unwavering. His presence radiated power as he looked down at those before him. Xiao Tian observed carefully, its piercing gaze locked onto the scene. Even without hearing, it understood everything unfolding before its eyes. The white wolf flipped through a book, absorbing knowledge. To adapt, Xiao Tian had studied human nature and social behaviors. Bei Ming clenched his fists, frustration evident. He refused to believe everything was as simple as the words before him. Determined to act, Bei Ming rushed forward. Worry for teacher clouded his thoughts as he ran toward the unfolding situation. Bei Ming sprinted through the city streets, struggling to keep up. The distance between him and his target kept growing quickly. A sudden blur passed through the crowded street. The figure moved with unnatural speed, weaving between people without hesitation or effort. A mysterious masked man in a strange outfit accelerated forward. His sharp movements suggested he was no ordinary person chasing aimlessly. A frustrated man clenched his fists, realizing his disadvantage. His body lacked the capability to keep up with such rapid movements. From above, the city stretched endlessly, revealing its towering buildings. The chase continued, weaving through the streets like an unstoppable force. Bei Ming gritted his teeth, thoughts racing. His eyes locked onto the vehicle speeding ahead, carrying something or someone important. A yellow car swerved through the intersection, barely missing pedestrians. Its driver showed no hesitation, determined to escape pursuit completely. Confusion flickered in Bei Ming's eyes as Xiao Tian suddenly appeared. The White Wolf's presence meant something unusual was happening. He lunged forward, reaching for a ledge. The sudden movement tested his agility, forcing him to act without second-guessing himself. Balancing precariously, Bei Ming realized the truth. His targets had slipped through his grasp, disappearing within the chaotic streets below. A strong gust of wind blew as Bei Ming steadied himself. His mind raced, searching for an alternative course of action. The sensation of dark energy coursed through his veins. He felt the overwhelming power stirring, waiting for him to unleash it. His fingers curled, calling upon the forbidden abilities within. The energy responded immediately, forming shadowy tendrils swirling around his arms. Determination filled his expression as he tested his power. He refused to let this opportunity slip away without at least trying. The dark tendrils shot forward, extending across the open city. Their movement was precise, aimed directly at the target ahead. The shadowy tendrils slithered forward, weaving through buildings. They moved swiftly, scanning the area for any signs of movement. Bei Ming stood at the edge, his sharp gaze locked onto the figures below. His instincts told him danger was near. The masked man tensed as Bei Ming spotted them. The chase had brought him closer to uncovering their hidden intentions. Inside the room, an unusual figure sat calmly. The masked man hesitated, unsure of how to respond to the situation. With emotion, he signaled for silence. His cautious movements suggested he knew Bei Ming was dangerously close to finding them. A young boy watched curiously, his wide eyes filled with confusion. He had no idea who the masked man was. The child hesitated, uncertain about what was happening. His small hands gripped the wooden bars, unsure if he should speak. The masked man sighed, rubbing his head. Unexpected disruptions were complicating an already delicate situation, making escape more difficult. A sudden impact shattered the moment. Xiao Tian lunged forward, knocking the masked man back with unexpected force and speed. The masked man tumbled backward, barely catching himself. Bei Ming and Xiao Tian refused to let him escape so easily. Bei Ming's eyes widened as he caught sight of something. A strange golden shimmer stretched across the city's skyline. The thin glowing threads crisscrossed the air. Each strand pulsed with energy, creating a web-like pattern over the distant buildings. Bei Ming realized the threads weren't ordinary. They moved as if responding to something unseen, transmitting signals across the city. A figure observed from a rooftop. The woman's expression remained unreadable as she analyzed the intricate signals flowing through threads. The unseen force connected everything together. Bei Ming knew he had to act fast before the mysterious web trapped him completely. The girl clutched her hands together, standing calmly. Her expression remained unreadable as she sensed something unusual approaching the area. Lillian stepped forward, her sharp eyes scanning the surroundings. She sensed an unnatural presence, something that should not exist during daylight. Her expression twisted with frustration. She refused to tolerate anything disrupting the delicate balance she carefully maintained within the city. Bei Ming stood amidst the glowing threads. Each line pulsed with power, connecting unseen forces across the towering cityscape. A sudden force shot toward him. His instincts flared as he braced for impact, refusing to back down from battle. Bei Ming stood firm as dark armor formed around him. The powerful energy surged, enhancing his body beyond human limits. Bei Ming dashed forward, dodging the glowing threads. Each movement tested his agility as sharp energy lines sliced through the air. The thin threads snapped as he forced his way through. He remained cautious, aware that something unnatural was still lurking. His mind raced, analyzing the situation. If these traps were meant to restrain, why had no attack followed their activation? Xiao Tian sniffed the air, his sharp instincts wary. The absence of any demonic scent made the situation even more suspicious. A sense of unease settled. The enemy was completely hidden, making it difficult to determine their real purpose or strategy. Bei Ming scanned his surroundings, frustration building. He refused to let the unknown threat dictate the pace of this encounter. He called out, demanding an answer. If the enemy intended to strike, now was the moment to reveal their presence. The eerie silence deepened as the golden threads remained untouched. The scene felt more like a waiting trap than an ambush. With a decisive motion, Bei Ming shattered the restraints. He refused to waste another second in an enemy-controlled battlefield. Without hesitation, he launched himself skyward. His only focus now was reaching Teacher Tian before things spiraled further out of control. Lillian watched from above, her smirk growing. She had been waiting for the perfect moment to reveal herself completely. Her hands moved elegantly as the threads pulsed. Each strand reacted to her will, wrapping around the battlefield like a web. The energy around her surged, forming a dazzling trap. She was no longer just observing, she was about to strike. Bei Ming and Xiao Tian sensed the shift. The moment they had been waiting for had finally arrived with overwhelming intensity. The real battle had begun. Both sides now faced each other directly. Knowing hesitation would mean the difference between victory and defeat. Bei Ming charged forward alongside Xiao Tian, his energy surging. The battlefield trembled as their combined force clashed against overwhelming power. Lillian smirked as she controlled the threads. Her confidence grew, sensing Bei Ming's determination to fight instead of immediately escaping. Her excitement intensified. She relished the challenge before her, fully embracing the thrill of an opponent who dared defy her power. Xiao Tian observed carefully, sensing something was changing. The fluctuating energy around Bei Ming hinted at an unexpected shift in his condition. Cracks formed along Bei Ming's armor. The power he once wielded was fading, leaving him vulnerable at a crucial moment. Xiao Tian narrowed his eyes, sensing the weakening energy. He knew Bei Ming was at a disadvantage and needed to act fast. The wolf's instincts sharpened. Without hesitation, he moved, using his strength to keep the situation under control before it worsened. Bei Ming clenched his teeth, feeling the sudden strain. His body refused to cooperate, forcing him into a precarious position. He quickly grabbed onto the nearest ledge. If he wasted any more energy, his mission to save Teacher Tian would fail. Xiao Tian growled in frustration but understood. They had no choice but to withdraw, ensuring their strength remained for the real battle. Lillian watched them flee, her amusement growing. She admired her own dominance, certain that victory was already within her grasp. Her excitement soared. Watching Bei Ming run only made her more eager to see him fall completely under her overwhelming power. Threads twisted wildly around her. She reveled in the chase, embracing the thrill of watching her opponent struggle beneath her control. A strange sensation struck her suddenly. Something unexpected disrupted her focus, forcing her attention away from Bei Ming's desperate retreat. Lillian's expression shifted as she skidded to a halt. Whatever had interrupted her wasn't part of the plan she envisioned. Lillian gritted her teeth, her frustration evident. She had the advantage, yet her prey managed to slip away once again. She crossed her arms and scoffed. Compared to her love for sweets, Bei Ming's life seemed insignificant at this moment. The sun dipped below the horizon. With her duties as a daytime hunter over, she had no reason to continue fighting. She leapt away from the battlefield. The fight had ended for now, but her ominous warning signaled an inevitable future encounter. As she disappeared into the sky, her presence faded. The clash had been brief, but the threat still lingered. Soaring through the air, Lillian left the battlefield behind. Her only thoughts now were about the delicious bear cookies awaiting her. Smoke and debris settled in the ruined streets. The remnants of the intense fight were all that remained in her wake. The golden light of sunset stretched across the city. Bei Ming and Xiao Tian sprinted across rooftops, moving with urgency. Bei Ming clenched his fists. His frustration boiled over as he questioned why his transformation had ended so suddenly. The city blurred past them. With time running out, Bei Ming knew he needed to understand his failing power immediately. Xiao Tian glanced at Bei Ming, sensing his growing frustration. There was no time to dwell on mistakes made in battle. The wolf's keen senses remained alert. He knew their survival depended on keeping their strength for the confrontation ahead. Bei Ming exhaled sharply, unwilling to accept his retreat. But without his power, staying would have meant certain defeat. They pushed forward with unwavering speed. The battle had ended for now, but their greatest test had yet to come. The distant city lights flickered as night fell. Both warrior and beast braced themselves, knowing a more dangerous battle awaited. The city lights flickered beneath the night sky. Bei Ming and Xiao Tian leaped across rooftops, determined to keep moving forward. The full moon shone brightly in the sky, casting a silver glow over the quiet night as clouds drifted lazily. A wooden ceiling reflected the moonlight, its structure part of a grand building standing still in the cool night air. Bei Ming panted heavily, standing at the edge of a serene pool, exhaustion evident from his hurried journey across the city. Sweat dripped down Bei Ming's face as he looked ahead, eyes sharp with determination, knowing he had finally reached the place. Xiao Tian growled beside him, red eyes gleaming, his breathing heavy from keeping up with Bei Ming's relentless pace. The towering golden entrance gleamed under the night sky, an invitation to the unknown, an ominous feeling settling in. Xiao Tian slowed his pace while Bei Ming rushed forward, urgency driving him toward the entrance without hesitation. A sudden voice halted their advance, a firm hand blocking the path, preventing any further movement toward the building. Two suited guards in sunglasses stood firmly in front of the entrance, their presence reinforcing the club's exclusive nature. Beiming hesitated, his mind racing, sensing that this place was far more than it appeared on the surface. A holographic sign flickered above the entrance, revealing a luxurious yet suspicious establishment hidden from ordinary eyes. Beiming clenched his fists as realization struck, understanding the nature of this place and the dangers inside. Several guards rushed toward him, sensing trouble as he tried to step forward, their hostility growing with every second. He held his ground, feeling the tension rise, knowing that retreat wasn't an option with Teacher Tian trapped inside. Xiao Tian bared his fangs, red eyes glowing fiercely, ready to tear apart anyone standing in their way. Beiming hesitated, stepping back slightly while maintaining a calm expression, knowing he had to be careful in this situation. Xiao Tian's red eyes narrowed as he observed Beiming retreat, sensing hesitation in his partner's movements under pressure. The guards stood tall, blocking the entrance, showing no signs of allowing entry without valid reasons or proper authorization. Xiao Tian growled in frustration, watching Beiming's hesitant retreat, questioning his resolve to stand firm in critical moments. Beiming's gaze remained sharp as he considered his options, understanding that causing a scene would risk everything they planned. Beiming's steps were calculated as he moved toward a different approach, scanning the surroundings for a safer entry point. Xiao Tian followed closely, his tail flicking as he observed Beiming searching for an alternative route around the building. The high wall stood before them, its presence a barrier that required caution and strategy for a successful infiltration. A red surveillance camera blinked in the distance, rotating slightly, leaving a small blind spot within its carefully monitored range. Beiming's fingers glowed faintly as he prepared to use his power, testing the remnants of his energy reserves carefully. Beiming extended his hand, attempting to activate his skill, but his body resisted, revealing a dangerously low energy reserve. Xiao Tian sighed in irritation, his fur bristling, knowing Beiming's power had limits and reckless use could be dangerous. Beiming clenched his fist, realizing the importance of strategic battles, rather than blindly exhausting his abilities without preparation. Xiao Tian stepped forward, his claws scraping against the ground, reminding Beiming of the importance of careful planning. Beiming adjusted his stance, trusting in his own physical abilities, knowing that even without power he could still fight. Beiming's determination burned as he focused ahead, knowing the risks but unwilling to abandon his mission to rescue Teacher Tian. Xiao Tian's fur bristled in frustration, his red eyes gleaming as he observed Beiming's reckless yet determined decision. The moonlight filtered through the trees, casting eerie shadows as the rustling leaves hinted at unseen movement nearby. Xiao Tian let out a deep breath, realizing Beiming's resolve was unshakable, despite the looming dangers ahead. Beiming landed on Xiao Tian's back, using his momentum to launch himself upward toward the towering wall ahead. Xiao Tian tensed, supporting Beiming's movement, his sharp claws digging into the ground as he braced for impact. Beiming swiftly climbed over the wall, sensing an opportunity while Xiao Tian urged him to hurry before they were discovered. He landed unexpectedly near a hot spring, his wide eyes scanning the unfamiliar surroundings filled with unsuspecting bathers. Panic erupted as the startled women in the hot spring noticed his sudden intrusion, reacting with immediate outrage. Beiming's heart pounded as chaos ensued, forcing him to react quickly before the situation escalated beyond his control. The sound of frantic footsteps echoed as people outside grew curious about the commotion, unaware of Beiming's actual intentions. A concerned guard whispered to another, mentioning rumors of an intruder disrupting the tranquility of the exclusive resort. A furious man clenched his fists, realizing the severity of the situation and the consequences that awaited the trespasser. Inside a lavish hall, Teacher Tian sat under heavy scrutiny, facing an intense conversation that centered around financial matters. The man before him spoke with authority, reminding him of a large debt while questioning his family's ability to repay. The teacher clenched her fists, disbelief flashing in her eyes as she struggled to process the unexpected revelation before her. Teacher Tian clenched her fists, her mind racing, overwhelmed by the heavy burden of her family's past and the cruel accusations. The man smirked confidently, his cigar smoke swirling as he spoke, knowing Teacher Tian's financial situation left her with no escape. Teacher Tian sat frozen, her thoughts spiraling, realizing how impossible it would be to repay everything despite her relentless sacrifices. She fought back tears, questioning why things had come to this after dedicating everything to help her struggling family survive. The voices around her grew louder, pushing her into a corner, demanding an answer she wasn't ready to give. Teacher Tian lowered her gaze, betrayal sinking in as she wondered how those closest to her could have abandoned her completely. The man chuckled, his eyes gleaming with amusement as he approached, already thinking of how to use her situation. His words dripped with manipulation, offering a twisted opportunity as he suggested a way for her to reduce the debt. Teacher Tian's heart pounded as she realized his true intentions, disgust and anger flashing through her as she clenched her fists. The man grinned wider, waiting for her response, fully expecting her desperation to force her into accepting his vile proposition. Teacher Tian shot up from her seat, determination flaring in her eyes as she refused to let him manipulate her further. The man's smirk vanished for a moment, his frustration growing as he realized she wouldn't submit as easily as expected. His fingers tightened into a fist before he lunged forward, rage bubbling beneath his forced composure at her defiance. Teacher Tian stumbled backward as he shoved her down, his laughter echoing through the room as he asserted his authority. She struggled against his grip, refusing to be reduced to a pawn, her mind racing for a way to escape. Teacher Tian lay helplessly on the floor, her vision blurred as she desperately wished for someone to come and save her. Bei Ming raised his hands cautiously, aware of the danger surrounding him as he tried to defuse the growing tension. The guards eyed him suspiciously, their presence intimidating as they questioned his sudden appearance at such an exclusive and secretive place. Bei Ming attempted to reason, hoping to avoid a fight, but the men remained unconvinced by his suspicious explanation. A woman stood confidently at the entrance, her presence demanding attention as the tension in the room momentarily shifted. Murushu's amused gaze lingered on Bei Ming, her interest piqued as she sipped her drink and observed his predicament. The guards quickly urged her back, insisting she return to her room, as their master had been waiting for her. Bei Ming felt frustration rising as the situation grew more absurd, realizing he had unintentionally become the center of attention. Another woman pointed angrily, accusing him of seeing something inappropriate, adding fuel to the already chaotic misunderstanding. Xiao Tian growled in annoyance, sensing the women cared more about comparing themselves rather than focusing on the real intruder. Xiao Tian narrowed his eyes, analyzing the situation as he prepared for an inevitable confrontation against the overwhelming number of guards. A deep sense of danger surged through him as an ominous presence filled the room, signaling the arrival of something powerful. The guards shifted uneasily, sensing a dark aura forming, its intensity shaking even the most experienced among them. The ground trembled as an explosive force erupted, sending waves of dark energy rippling through the luxurious hall. Bei Ming and Xiao Tian locked eyes, realizing the situation had escalated far beyond what they had initially expected. Bei Ming gritted his teeth, knowing Teacher Tian was in danger and that he needed to act before it was too late. His body tensed as he hesitated, realizing a direct move could escalate things, forcing him to search for another way. A man stepped forward confidently, exuding charm as he addressed the crowd, instantly shifting the attention away from Bei Ming. His golden hair shimmered under the lights, an unmistakable presence as he commanded admiration from those around him. Women gasped in excitement, whispering among themselves, recognizing the young man as Shen, a figure of power within the club. Shen glanced at the guards, his casual tone carrying authority as he demanded the immediate release of the detained person. The guards exchanged uncertain glances, knowing Shen's influence, yet hesitating to defy their existing orders without further clarification. His sharp gaze hardened, voice firm as he repeated his command, unwilling to tolerate hesitation or disobedience from his subordinates. The guards instantly panicked, realizing they had no choice but to comply, fearing the consequences of offending Shen directly. Bei Ming exhaled in relief, realizing he had narrowly escaped trouble, his mind racing as he recognized Shen from school. Bei Ming narrowed his eyes, recognizing Shen from school, recalling an earlier incident where he harassed someone near the entrance gate. Shen smirked confidently, flashing a wink, his carefree demeanor masking the sudden unease creeping up as tension filled the atmosphere. A sudden chill ran down Shen's spine as Bei Ming stepped forward, exuding an overwhelming aura alongside Xiao Tian's piercing red-eyed glare. The women protested angrily, demanding justice as they refused to let Bei Ming escape unpunished for his supposed misdeeds. Shen stepped forward confidently, flashing a charismatic smile as he took control of the situation, calming the escalating tension. His smooth words reassured the women, promising compensation and ensuring their complaints would be properly addressed with generosity. The women swooned over Shen, enamored by his wealth and charm, quickly accepting his promises as a reasonable solution. Bei Ming exhaled in relief, realizing Shen's intervention had successfully diffused the situation without unnecessary conflict or further misunderstandings. Xiao Tian scoffed, unimpressed by the theatrics, questioning why Bei Ming refrained from using his full strength against weaker opponents. Bei Ming quickly shifted focus, knowing Teacher Tian's safety remained his top priority, rather than engaging in unnecessary fights. Shen watched Bei Ming closely, sensing there was more to him than he originally assumed, his curiosity steadily growing. Bei Ming acknowledged Shen's unexpected assistance, recognizing that despite his playboy demeanor, he still held considerable influence and power. Bei Ming had no intention of staying longer, swiftly preparing to leave while still remaining wary of Shen's true intentions. Shen smirked, promising to repay Bei Ming for this encounter, intrigued by his unexpected strength and composed attitude. Without hesitation, Bei Ming turned away, sprinting toward his real objective, leaving Shen standing thoughtfully behind him. Xiao Tian ran beside him, sensing the looming darkness ahead, its oppressive aura signaling the presence of an unknown danger. Shen observed them leave, recognizing something unusual about Bei Ming, suspecting he was far more powerful than he appeared. The air grew heavy as Bei Ming rushed forward, realizing the evil aura was intensifying, signaling an imminent confrontation ahead. Bei Ming rushed forward, his heartbeat pounding as he approached the door. His instincts warned him that danger was near. A loud scream echoed from inside, making his steps quicken. Something was wrong, and he had to act fast. Two men in suits blocked his path, their tense expressions revealing they were guarding something important inside the room. Bei Ming clenched his fists, his gaze sharp as he noticed the struggle inside. He needed to intervene immediately. Flames ignited around Bei Ming, his aura surging with power. The guards flinched, sensing the overwhelming force radiating from him. The walls trembled as explosions erupted, sending shockwaves through the corridor. The sudden commotion caught everyone's attention immediately. A man in sunglasses turned his head, his expression darkening as he noticed the growing chaos beyond the door. Angered by the disturbance, he ordered his subordinates to investigate. He hated interruptions when dealing with important matters. The floor cracked as dark energy seeped out, surrounding Teacher Tian, who was barely holding on against its grip. A weapon trembled on the wall as a powerful force built up. Something unnatural was awakening within the room. Bei Ming leaped forward, his flames clashing against the incoming attack. Sparks flew as the battle intensified around him. The force of impact sent enemies flying as his fiery energy burned through their defenses with overwhelming strength. A pair of wide, shocked eyes stared at the destruction. The onlooker realized the battle had escalated beyond control. Teacher Tian collapsed onto the floor, dark energy coiling around her. Her body trembled, barely resisting its suffocating grasp. Bei Ming narrowed his eyes, recognizing her. Teacher Tian gasped, warning him of the overwhelming danger lurking ahead. Bei Ming landed, his fists clenched as the enemies surrounded him. His companion growled, sensing the overwhelming tension in the air. He glanced at Teacher Tian, who was struggling. His presence had disrupted something important, and the enemies were clearly agitated. A man in a fur coat stepped forward, his expression smug. He was confident in his ability to control the situation. Bei Ming's gaze darkened as he realized the man's intent. The situation was growing more dangerous with every passing second. Teacher Tian desperately reached out, her body weak from exhaustion. Her focus was entirely on saving Bei Ming from immediate danger. Teacher Tian braced herself, trying to bargain. She knew the enemy was cruel, but she had no choice but to act. Before her words could take effect, the man smirked. His arrogance showed as he effortlessly dodged her desperate attack. Bei Ming's eyes widened as the situation escalated. He refused to stand back and let things unfold without his interference. Gunfire erupted, the sound echoing through the hall. The enemy had finally lost patience and resorted to using deadly force. Smoke rose from the barrel as bullets rained down. Bei Ming clenched his teeth, preparing to retaliate with full power. Teacher Tian's breath hitched as she witnessed the reckless attack. Her mind raced, searching for a way to turn things around. Bei Ming remained motionless for a moment before launching forward. His speed was overwhelming, making him nearly impossible to track. The fierce beast beside him snarled, its crimson markings glowing. It had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The enemy's confidence faltered as he watched the power unfold. He had underestimated the resistance and was now facing true danger. A sudden scream pierced the air, causing the man's expression to shift. His arrogance wavered as he sensed something wrong. Teacher Tian's thoughts raced as the dark energy surged. She blamed herself for Bei Ming's injuries and her own weakness. Shadows coiled around her as a voice taunted her regrets. The oppressive energy fed on her doubts and hesitation. A familiar presence emerged from the darkness, stepping forward with graceful confidence. The atmosphere shifted as power radiated through the air. The woman's smirk deepened, her aura pulsating. She embraced the chaos, allowing her emotions to manifest into uncontrollable force. With a flick of her hand, the energy erupted outward. She wielded it effortlessly, commanding destruction with precise control. The woman's eyes gleamed with an eerie glow as dark energy surrounded her. A twisted smile formed, radiating unshakable confidence.